not going to be able to work. Let's try this. Hey, how y'all doing? My name is Cosmic TJ. How are you? My real name is Thetis Higgins, but I go by Cosmic TJ. My nickname actually is TJ because I'm a junior. Yeah. My late father, that is Andre Aiken Sr. I have his face and I also have his name. How you doing today? So I wanted to take this time to just tell people about who I am, about how I came to be the reader that I am, how I came to walk my light, how I came to follow my calling, how I came to just be the person that I am today. And I would not be the person that I am today if it was not for the ancestors, if it was not for God, if it was not for the Most High, honestly pushing me through so many different situations, pushing me through so many different things, even when I felt like giving up. There's a lot about my life that I know if people were to walk in my shoes, they would not have survived. But it's I went through the fire so that others don't have to. Let me say it again. I went through the fire so that others don't have to. Come on in on. Come on in on. I'm going to put on my nails if you didn't notice. I'm going to put on my nails and we're going to chit chat, okay? So, Cosmic TJ, me. Hey. How did I come to be? First of all, I look gorgeous. I look gorgeous. I look like a bag of money. I look like love. I look like purity. I look like sweetness. I look like peace. I look like everything that God made me to be. In period. Okay. So I wanted to first talk about how I survived spiritual warfare. And honestly, no, I can't. I cannot start my story there because that's not the start of my story. That's only one chapter of my story. My story started in home with my siblings, with my immediate family. That's truly where my story started because, believe it or not, I was not always as flamboyant and confident with being flamboyant the way that I am now. Granted, I actually was always flamboyant, but I was not able to embrace my spirituality, my sexuality in the way that I am now. And a big portion of that is because of how I grew up, because of how I was surrounded by certain family members who always viewed sexuality, who always viewed gay people a certain way. And I've found a way to internalize those things that people said about us. One of the things I can keep hearing being mentioned is how they would always call us punks and fags. And at the time I wasn't gay. At the time I wasn't out. I wasn't fully open with understanding what it means to be out, what it means to even be a gay man in society, right? But at the time I knew I was having those thoughts. I knew I was having those moments with myself where I was thinking about being and doing things with a man, not a woman. So for me, at the time, for me being as young that I was, I just allowed what people said. I allowed their projections to eat at my spirit. I allowed their projections to eat at my being that prevented me from being able to be as confident as I needed to come out. But I say all that to say, I've internalized those things that people would say about gay people, which in turn made me not come out the way that I was supposed to. And I say it like that because the journey of me coming out, it started, which I think is a coincidence. Everything starts in the workplace. But it started with a coworker of mine. And I was getting a feel of it. I was getting a feel of the energy of what it meant to be gay. I was getting a feel of what it meant to, have relations with a man, because at the time I wasn't even sexually active, which I'm so okay with that, right? But what happened was I was having the interaction, the conversations with my coworker, and in the midst of us talking, there was a moment where I felt like he gave me the green light. He gave me the okay that, you know what, he'll do this shit. Like, he's okay with it, right? But when that happened, I remember too, it was one time where I had just got off of work and we both were working too. But that was the night where I remember I was also texting my old friend of mine from high school. And I was laying down when I was texting my old friend from high school. She's a girl, her name is Kitty. And in the midst of me talking, our conversation, that is what gave me the confidence to say, you know what, let me come out. Let me go talk to my mom and my sister and let them know that I'm gay. I like men. But when I went in that room, I said I was bisexual. I surely the fuck did. Because the way that I was looking at it, I wanted to see if they were even okay with being bisexual. And they weren't. I went in that room and I was met with complete silence. I was met with not love. I was met with just blank. Just blank. That's exactly what it was, just blank. Everybody went silent. Everybody went speechless. It almost seemed like even the TV went silent. And the TV was playing. That's how thick the energy in that room was. Simply by me coming out. So that that caused me to be that caused even okay, the way that I needed to, because hold on, I want to see something. Hold on. Can y'all hear me? I can't tell shit. This is why people probably shouldn't call me. And it wasn't the last person that just told me that or what was going on. It was my damn mama that called me the first time, which is why the time went off. Can y'all hear me? I'm talking to y'all. Y'all probably can't hear shit. Still, you know what? Let me just do a whole nother live. Okay, we good. We good. Somebody just told me we good. We good. Shit. Back to the story, because I was about to go in. Oh, good grief.
What was I talking about? Oh, how I haven't been able to have that space to really honor my emotions and know what it means to honor my emotions, because those around me that were expected to show me those things, to teach me those things, they didn't. They didn't teach it to me. They didn't show it to me. They didn't even simply know how to hold space for themselves. So how could I expect for them to hold it for me? I know that now. I didn't know that back then. So I didn't. So I thought, because I've always had a lot of wisdom. I've always been the type of person that people would go to for advice, that people would go to for clarity on things, even before I fully became a spiritualist, even before I fully embraced the calling of being a hoodoo practitioner, of walking this walk, of allowing all these different spirits to talk to me, because that can be that can be nerve-wracking at times, okay? But back to the story of the household, because it plays a part in where I'm going, okay? Now, I was in high school. This is senior year that we're talking about. And junior year and senior year were some of the most nerve-wracking years of my life internally, because I had to navigate what it meant for me to show up to the world, to society, in a way to how others were perceived of me. Then I also had to navigate the politics of school, the politics of just being me. I'm gonna bring that in for a minute. There's a reason I said that. And the politics of just living in the house that I was living at, right? But just say come senior year, I did not like being in this house. I did not like being in the house that I was in with my mom and my sister. I just didn't like it. And it's just because being in that space, it just felt so heavy to me. It felt draining to me. It felt like I was a fly on the wall. But not in the sense of me catching up on everything. In the sense of me picking up everything, internalizing it, and now it's affecting my internal being. Now it's not allowing me to be the way that God wants me to be. Now it's not allowing me to be the way that even I want to be. Because in the midst of me trying to navigate my own world, I had to learn how to navigate that world without allowing the perceptions and perspectives of those that were close to me affect where my navigation was telling me to go. Because, thank you. I'm gonna say it like this. I had a GPS, and the destination of the GPS, it was going towards what everybody else was expecting, what everybody else wanted out of me, what everybody else needed out of me. But it was not my lane. It was not my destination. So I had to find my destination. I had to find my route. I had to find my choice. And a big bulk of me doing that started junior and senior year. But particularly in senior year, because I'm about to graduate. I gotta do something. I'm about to graduate. I'm about to graduate. Hold on, let me make sure I still got sound. Okay, I think I do. I'm about to graduate. I'm about to go to college. I'm about to embrace my life and all this stuff, but I really didn't know where to start. I didn't know where to start at all. But here's the beautiful thing about not knowing where to start. You can just start somewhere. So what happened was senior year, I was a part of the business program, and there was a scholarship that they were giving out. I think it was about a $20,000 scholarship, right? And with this $20,000 scholarship, we had to give like an essay, like a personal statement. And in that personal statement, I was speaking on so many different. I was telling my truth. That was the first moment I had of actually honoring my feelings, of honoring my emotions, of actually getting them out, no matter how they may be perceived. I had to write a letter to do that because that personal statement it turned into me journaling out my feelings, things that I've held on to from being a little child. That personal statement went from me being a little child, the moments that I had there, to up and coming to stepping into my sexuality, because I spoke about that in that letter too. Now, with that personal statement though, it was a bit too personal for certain people's liking. It was a bit too close to home. It told too much truth that certain people didn't like. And the first version I've had of somebody not liking my truths, it was my mother. And granted, we are in a far better relationship now, but back then, uh-uh, no. Mm-mm. Here's how she even found out about the letter. I think I was, remember I told y'all that I went in that room and I told them that I was gay and whatnot? That was before I sent out that personal statement. First, that conversation happened, and then probably close within a few days is when a personal statement came out. So when I did the personal statement, I actually sent it to my sister first, and then she was saying, pretty much, she was apologizing, saying how she didn't know I felt all those things. Of course, because y'all are always the ones that were speaking. Just goes to show that, to be quite honest, I don't think society understands how much we put men on the back burner. Their needs, what they need to thrive, what they need to be successful, we put them on the back burner. And a part of me hate the fact that I had to experience life as a man to understand that. But men get neglected for their emotional health and their mental health and their spiritual health. Men get neglected. Men get neglected, and I don't think people understand that. But anywho, back to the story. I sent it to my sister first, and I was actually on my way. I was getting ready for school, and at the time, what I was doing, I was riding a private school city bus. I ain't like to ride the school bus. No, I couldn't do that. Mm-mm. So I was riding the city bus, and when I was getting ready for school, and I had sent a letter to my sister, she told me to send it to my mom. So as I'm walking to the bus stop, I said, okay, I'm going to go ahead and send it to her. And I let her marinate on it. So I'm like, okay, I think it was West Shore Boulevard, if I'm not, no, that's Del Mabry. You got Del Mabry, and then you got Cypress. Del Mabry, and you got Cypress Street. Cypress Street is where my school was at. I went to Jefferson High School. It's in Florida. And we were on Del Mabry, probably like maybe 2.5 miles away from the school. Like, we're not even that far. We're in the area where the school at. I lived in a completely different area. But I remember, because we were right there where the Raymond James Stadium is. We were right there where that stadium is. When my mom, I think she called me. She called me, and she told me I had to get out the house. That was March 23rd or 28th. It was between the 23rd to the 28th when that happened. March 23rd to 28th of 2019. I was 18 years old. I ain't get 19 yet. I was just about to get 19 in April. We didn't get to April yet, clearly. So the interesting thing about that too was I was kicked out 3 months shy from graduation. So she did not like the things that I had to say in that statement, which resulted in me being kicked out, but that was my truth. The truth that I remember, the truth for a lot of things that I clearly held on to, which is why it took me so long to express it. That was my truth. She didn't like it. I think there were some things I mentioned in there that was a bit too close to home that she felt like, that ain't your business to tell. I said, yes, it is, because I experienced it. If I experienced it, it's my business to tell. And the reason why I'm even telling this portion of it, because it also reflects in the situation I had, which is why I had to survive spiritual warfare in the first place. Yeah. Okay. Now back to the story. So I'm on the bus. Mama calling me. She telling me I got to get out, and I'm completely I'm at shock now. Now my body is sent into shock too, because what you mean? Where am I going to go? Where am I going to go? I work, but I mean, and I save, but I mean that ain't enough to get my own shit. You. I'm literally about to go to these people's schoolhouse, start my day, and you said I have to get out of your house. That was the first time I was kicked out. It shook me to my motherfucking core. But one of the beautiful things about that was that experience taught me detachment. It taught me how to detach from my mother. And I feel like if you learn how to detach from your mother, you can detach from anybody in this life. I needed to experience that for that very reason. We're in a better place now. But I had to learn to prioritize myself over my mother. I know that may sound a bit selfish, but it's my life, not hers. She got her life. She lived it, ain't it? And even if she didn't live it, I'm going to hope that she go live it. I'm going to push her to go live it, even if she don't want to live it. Okay. But I need to put these doggone nails on now. The shit I've been doing. Okay, let me separate those. But anywho, that truly shocked me to my core, cause I'm like, where am I gonna go? Now I have to figure all this out. But one of the beautiful things I like about me is I've always had a community in the people's schoolhouse. Rather that was elementary, middle, high school. I've always found community somewhere. And I feel like that is so important because one, a big portion of me living my life at the time was in the people's schoolhouse. A majority of my life was in the people's schoolhouse. If I wasn't at school, I was at home. If I wasn't at home, I was outside playing. Playing with who? People from the schoolhouse. So I love the fact that I had that community. I had people that were always willing to look out for me, right? And that came in handy when it came down to me getting kicked out. Because as soon as it happened, my first thing was, okay, I had to go talk to Taisha. Taisha, she was my Avid coordinator. She was the Avid teacher, but she was also over the Avid program. She was over like other free programs. But to me, she was like my school mama. Mm-hmm. She was like my school mama, my school auntie. If I had a situation or a problem, I needed anything, I go to her. Yeah, I'm going to Taisha. I got a problem or a situation, I need some advice, I'm going to Taisha. She was that mother like energy for me. She was that nurturing like energy for me. She was that, and not even just the ways that a mother could nurture, but in the ways that she pushes you, in the ways that she motivates you, in the ways that she disciplines you. Taisha was that one for me. Taisha Chapman, yes ma'am. Yes ma'am, she was that one for me. And I thought it was funny at the time, my best friend that being Maisha. You got Taisha, teacher, Maisha, best friend. I love that for me. But they are so important because when I got kicked out, they became my backbone. They became my community. When I first was kicked out, I'm grateful to have been in a space to where I was able to get the help that I needed. I got help from the district. I got help from the guidance counselors. I got help from the people that was even over the business program at the time. So I had people that was working their work to make sure I had somewhere to go, so that I wasn't sleeping out here on the streets. And I'm so grateful that I have not had to experience sleeping on the street. When that happens, I actually think, see, this is why I love Taisha. I actually end up going to move with Taisha. She opened up her door for me. She opened up her home for me, and I stayed with her until I got enough funding so that I can go move on campus at this place. It was on campus, but it wasn't, because there was a community college I went to. It's called HCC, and they really don't have dorms, but they did have like an apartment complex that was tied to the college, right next to the college. So I ended up moving there. It was like a roommate situation. It was about four of us. We had our own bed, our own room, our own bathroom. We just shared a common space, right? So I, at the time, also, again, I told y'all I was just about to graduate high school. I got kicked out 3 months shy of graduation. So that's when a lot of scholarship money started to pour in. You see, that was my first experience of somebody trying to get me down. It so happened to hit a little bit more closer to home than I wanted it to. But even with that happening, I've seen how God always worked his magic to make sure I was always taken care of. Because I was well taken care of. When I say I was able to receive not only just refunds from school because of how I had scholarships, that money that started coming in helped me to be able to even get my car. That's how I got my first car. That's how I even was able to learn how to drive, because my mama didn't teach me, and I thought I wanted her to teach me. There are so many chances where I was trying to convince her to teach me, but she would always say, "Oh, I had to teach myself." And to myself, I'm like, "So you want me to get your car and teach myself how to drive?" I'm trying to do this the right way. She didn't want to teach me, so I had to go to driving school. I paid for it. The lady would come pick me up after work, and we'll go drive for like an hour or two, and then I do the one test. I passed a road test, got my license, got my car by myself. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, God. Now, back to the story. I was able to receive a lot of assistance from the community. That's when I got my first taste of what it truly meant to have community surround you, what it truly meant to know those right people, right? One of the other moments in high school that I want to mention was the time I was over a club. And the club I was over, it was called DECA, and it was tied to the business program at the school. If you are part of the business program, you're automatically going. You have to be a part of DECA. Every year, I can always say that every year we got to pay our DECA dues. Make sure you come in with your DECA dues. Like, oh my gosh! And if you don't pay them, you can't go to competition, which we had district competition, state competition, and then we had international competition. It was just a whole lot. But anywho, I was a part of DECA from sophomore year, but I did not become an officer of DECA, of the DECA officer team, until my junior year, because that's when I became like one of the lower level officers, but I still was actively in DECA, because we also had a DECA cafe that was on site where we were selling coffee, we were selling like chips, candy, all this other good stuff, right? And I was spearheading that. I was running that with, at the time, Jack. That's his name. At the time, I was running that with him. And we were doing that. Gosh, I remember we was definitely doing that sophomore year. We were doing that junior year. And I remember it's because of how we were able to connect with in that DECA cafe that made it to where when it came down to senior year, we were co-presidents for DECA. Then, then it came the time where now we were supposed to be co-presidents, and then it turned into just me being president. That's when the politics of high school started to come into play. The politics of I can't even really. I'm gonna say high school because it was some petty, messy ass shit. That's the reason as to why that whole thing even transpired the way that it did. But The reason why he essentially got that downgrade was because I'm the one that's doing every damn thing. I'm the one doing everything. I'm the one coming up with everything. I'm the one making sure that communication is being given. I'm the one making sure that the members are being taken care of. I'm the one actually going out to communicate with the members. And that got me like, yeah, I know I'm the president and everything. And at the time, we were co-presidents, so we were supposed to do this together. A lot of things we were supposed to do together, but I was doing it by myself. And I thought what was also interesting was around that time, it was just the the relationship between us completely shifted, completely changed. It's like now we become co-presidents, and we no longer had the bond the way that we just had while we were in Deca Cafe. And I'm like, I was so confused. And here's why I was so confused. Because here's kind of where we fucked up at. Because when we were working at the Deca Cafe, that's one area where we're working together. We did have some classes together. I even remember we had classes back to freshman year. But anywho, during the summer of like between junior and senior year, for the academy, the business students, they all had to go have an internship at one of the financial institutions. I ended up getting placed at USF Federal Credit Union, and so did he. Which that was not beautiful. That was not lovely at all. I mean, the experience, it was lovely, but in the midst of me being in the workforce, I was navigating the personal issues that I was having with these so-called friends and officer members of mine. Because Jack wasn't the only officer member of mine that ended up working at USF Federal Credit Union. Then there's Tanuja Matu. She had a very strong connection to DECA, so much so to where her sister graduated the class before us. She was actually the DECA president before. And if I'm not mistaken, she was even a DECA president on a state level. Or not DECA president, but a officer on the state level. So she got some play in this bitch. Tanuja was trying to find her play. And I didn't realize, but around the time of the internship, that's where the connection between them two really deepened, and that felt very weird to me. It felt very weird to my spirit too, because the way that y'all interacted, I'm a third wheel. Not in the sense of y'all about to get romantic, because see, I knew a bit. I knew some things about that. I knew some things about him. Okay. And I know that them two would never do that. That ain't it. But let me stop being messy. But the dynamic between them started changing, which affected the relationship that me and him had. And that shit didn't make sense to me neither. So I said, you know what? Okay, I'm going to just keep minding my business. Keep focusing on the things that I'm supposed to be focused on, which at the time I was working not only at the credit union, I was working at the credit union, then I was still working at Wendy's. So there was times where I'm even getting off from the credit union, bags and everything that's in my bag is my shit for going to go work at Wendy's for the night. And then I'm going home. Yeah. There was a lot of things that was weird to me, especially because I was looking and I was expecting for him to be my community. Because we were like this. We were like bros, boy. Like we were bros. Bro. Like what the fuck? You just switched or changed up on me. You also know what's interesting? People always change up on me. They just magically change up. They just, their vibes just go different. Like I don't know. I don't do anything to cause it either. I had a best friend that, gosh, She was my best friend from like freshman year to even to even senior year. But out of nowhere during senior year, even the vibes there changed. Like, what the fuck? You know what it really was? I wasn't enabling people the way that they wanted me to. I was no longer feeding their narratives the way they wanted me to. I was no longer willing to just accept any and all everything from them the way that they wanted me to. While I'm still trying to navigate what it even means to have standards, what it even means to stand up for myself, what it even means to have boundaries. I'm still figuring all this shit out myself. Granted, you gotta go through some shit to help you figure that shit out too. Don't forget that. But the reason why this is important because there's a level of betrayal that happened with the connection between me and Jack that caused the rest of the turmoil that happened in the program, in the DECA program. Because it started with the issues being done with me and Jack. Then it started with the issues of me and Tanuja. I remember during the summer, we had to do training. It was for the new freshmen. It was a freshman workshop, actually. And at this freshman workshop, I wanted the attire to be... Yeah, okay. It was the workshop because after our workshop, the day that we did the workshop, it was linked up in such a way to where open house was at night too. So I wanted the attire to be business professional. Matter of fact, it was business casual. That was the attire. Business casual. I wanted us to all come in with a uniform shirt. It was a gray DECA shirt. I even got a picture of it. It was a gray DECA shirt. And then I got everybody a badge. And I think I ended up paying for the badge out of my own money too. I got everybody a DECA badge that said their name and their position on that badge. It was a nice little badge too. But I said the attire for this workshop is let's go ahead and wear the shirt and then we're going to be business casual. The night before the workshop, she wants to come, talking about Tanuja here, she wants to come and completely change up the attire. I'm like, whoa. Hold up. Hold on. Wait a minute. We're not doing last minute changes here. And you're not president, Miss Mamas. And at the time, me and Jack were still the ones we were still co-presidents here. Hold on, Miss Mamas. Don't come making last minute changes. You can't do that. We just spent money on these shirts. Just spent money on this badge. We're going to use it. Especially if I spent my money. Like, bro, what the fuck? I was not going for that. And because I wasn't going for that outfit change, she called me a dictator. And a few other terms that she used. And I'm like, huh? I realized that she was projected. Because in all reality, you know how many times she tried to be president of DECA before me? 2. She tried sophomore year. Not sophomore year. She tried junior year. But she also tried senior year. 2 years. In that senior year when she tried, look how I ended up being the one to get it. Mind you, she was actually connected to somebody that had some pretty good ties to DECA. So I'm pretty sure she had a lot of internalized issues that she was going through when it came down to me coming up in this bitch. Mind y'all, I'm the only black one. Tanuja's Indian. Jack, mix. Everybody else, a mixture of Spanish, another Indian, white, and there was actually one more black person, but I believe she was an actual officer. But anyway, she called me a dictator. I want y'all to remember that term, dictator. Remember that. So now, we're having the issue here. I didn't realize that when that happened, they were starting to cause a divide between the whole officer dynamic. So now we're actually into the school year. We're trying to get all this together. We're trying to get all these events together. I'm especially trying to get all of the different classes together because what I wanted to do, I wanted to meet up with all the freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors. I wanted to meet up with everybody separately, and I wanted to hear how could we improve, how could we do better. What do y'all need? What are y'all expecting from us? What do y'all need? I needed to hear from the people. So I started off with the junior class, and that actually went so well that the advisors, the advisors of DECA, they wanted me to go talk to everybody else in the same aspect. And I noticed that's when a lot of the divide happened between the officer team. And the reason why I'm also bringing this up is because Statman, he was a DECA advisor, but he also was my teacher. He also was somebody I considered to be a mentor, but he also had his son that was a part of the DECA. Yeah, I'm saying all that for a reason. So now we're starting to have a divide between the team. I'm noticing his son is starting to cause some issues. Matter of fact, there was another black person too. Now that I'm thinking about it, it was Jove and Amari. She was a senior like me. Amari, he was a freshman. He had ended up just coming in. Actually, no, he was a sophomore. My bad, misspoke. He was a sophomore. But now we're starting to have internalized issues with the team. And I remember one time a meeting was called, but it was an impromptu meeting. That's Statman, the mentor. He's the one that called the meeting. It was right before school had started. We didn't have no other two business. Matter of fact, it was two other people that was in the business program that was also part of DECA. You had Miss L and you had Miss Stanfield. I'm like, damn, what's her name? Miss L and Miss Stanfield. it it originally was Miss L and Miss Stanfield. And then when I got there freshman year, that's actually simultaneously when Statman also ended up getting there too. Actually, he was there my freshman, but I don't think he became a teacher until my sophomore year. But anyway, Miss L and Miss Stanfield did not know about this meeting. But yet, Statman called the meeting where he wanted all the officers to come on together. Now, you got everybody part of my officer team is in this meeting. And you have me. So, everybody, doing their thing. And I'm noticing, hold on. I thought this was supposed to be a productive meeting. I thought this was a meeting where we were supposed to come to a common ground on some things, come to an understanding of things. But y'all will not, y'all will not, y'all won't believe this. I walked into an ambush. That whole meeting, you know what it felt like? It felt like I kept getting sliced. It felt like I kept getting sliced. And it hurted the most when one of the terms that Statman used when he was expressing himself to the team, he said dictator. And then it brought me back to when in the group chat where Tanuja tried to change the attire last minute. She called me a dictator. I said, oh my gosh. The whole meeting, all they did was threw dabs at me. And I had to sit there. And just let it hit, let it roll off me. It didn't roll off of me. I internalized it. So as soon as that happened, after that, now the bell starts ringing. So now we have no choice but to get out of here. I got out of there so quick. I went to Miss Henderson's room. Miss Henderson, she have no ties to DECA, but the business program is her program. She's the department head. So I go to Miss Henderson As soon as I get in her office, and the good thing about this is her office was actually usually always dark, but she have her lamps that's all around that allows for the get some light, right? But she don't be having her overhead lights on. So I ended up walking in, and she actually was busy. But the good thing is she didn't even have a first period. But I walked in, and I go by her desk, and then first thing she asked me, I sit down, and then she asked me, "What's wrong, TJ?" I couldn't get no words out. I just started crying. I had to, I had to let loose everything that I just internalized from these people. Then I told her what happened. And from there, she made the executive decision alongside her, Miss L, and Miss Stanfield, where they said, okay, now what we're going to do, we're just going to dismantle the whole team. And I'm so glad they did that, because it also showed me how God worked again. Because apparently God don't play about me. Because the ways in which they tried to bring me down again, they tried to tarnish me again, they tried to make me doubt even being in a position that I'm in again, it calls for every officer to be removed. You know what's also interesting about this? We had we had about 200 members. We had more than 200. I just can't think of the right number, but we had more than 200 members in this club. Out of all those members, who do you think, okay, out of all those members, who do you think everybody knew on the officer team more? Me. And I thought that was weird, because I'm like, hold on. I keep telling my officers, I keep telling y'all to go mingle with them. I keep telling y'all to go connect with them. I keep telling y'all to do things y'all are not doing. Y'all keep acting like y'all don't know how to do it. If y'all got in a position of being an officer, that means you clearly know a thing or two on how to get the job done. Otherwise, you need not to be an officer. Now I'm also realizing they really just didn't like the way that I did things. But it's okay. Y'all tried to bring me down, and then the whole team ended up going down. That's some instant karma for your ass. But here's why I brought up that story as well, because the situation with Stack, I looked at him as a mentor. In a lot of situations, a lot of downfalls, a lot of falling outs that I had with people, you would think that it would be with the people around my age that it hits the most. No, it was with people that was older than me. My mother disappointed me. Statman disappointed me. A walk with the ancestors, I won't mention her name, but she disappointed me. These are people who I looked up to as my elders. People who I thought were my mentors. Especially Statman. Especially a walk with the ancestors. But the reason why with Statman, he was into business. And I wanted to be into business. I knew I was going to be a businessman ever since 6th grade. Because I remember the teacher at the time, her name was Miss Kennedy. Yep, see, I have a good memory. Miss Kennedy, she had her husband come for like a teach me type of thing. And that's when I said, you know what? I'm going to be a business owner. It just clicked at me. It just clicked. I even went as far as I had a piece of paper. I wrote down my name. I made my own name tag. I wrote down my first and last name. And right under next to it, it said business CEO. And then she put it on her board. That wasn't the first time, but that was also around the time where I was always so vocal. I utilized my throat. I utilized the power of my throat. I wasn't afraid to go up for presentations. I wasn't afraid to speak in crowds. And granted, the first crowd that I ever spoke in front of, it was in 5th grade. It was my 5th grade graduation. Matter of fact, was it my graduation? Nope, it was, because the graduation and the award ceremony, two different things, but it was the award ceremony for 5th grade. where I did a poem, and it was a poem by Langston Hughes, and I remember I am the darker brother. They sent me in the kitchen when the company comes, but I laugh. Grow well. There was some other shit. I end up saying that poem, and that was about like 300 to 400 people that was in that crowd, right? Mind you, it's elementary. A lot of other people, they can't do this. They can't do this. But to be quite honest with you, in fifth grade, I was shining. I was shining. So much so to where I was highway patrol, right? I had the yellow thing. Yeah, that was me. I was highway patrol. I think it's called Save the Patrol. But I had a lot of attention on me. A lot of people knew me. A lot of people was very fond of me. A lot of people liked me. And it was just because of how I naturally was. There's a reason why I'm bringing this up too. There's a reason why I'm bringing all this shit up. It may be a bit out of order, but there's a reason I'm bringing all this shit up. I'm gonna connect the dots. But anywho, in elementary, I was that boy. I was that girl. I was it. Okay, I was it, honey. And in this particular case, I was. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because of my authenticity. Me going back looking at elementary, middle school, really elementary school, it allowed for me to see my authenticity a whole lot more clearer than I would looking at middle school, than I would looking at high school. Because I was not only battling internally, I was now also starting to battle with society, right? You follow me? It was another layer of shit I had to battle compared to when I was in elementary school. Because I didn't care about a lot of shit in elementary school. I didn't know I had to care about the shit until I got to middle school. And I didn't know I had to care about a whole other realm of shit until I got to high school. Okay. But anywho, the reason why I'm bringing up the middle school, the elementary school, which means I probably need to go to middle school. But the reason why I'm bringing up the elementary school was because I was always vocal, always utilized my throat chakra. I was always willing to just shine, to just be, right? Then come middle school. In high school. Middle school was where a lot of my attention was surrounding my sexuality. It was surrounding how those, my peers, perceived that too. That's why a lot of people were calling me gay and things like that, because it's simply how I acted, because it's simply how I talked, because it's simply how I carried myself. And I didn't know it was me being gay. I didn't know it was me. I didn't even know what that was. I did at a certain point. I got an understanding of it, but I was just being me. I didn't put a term on it myself, so I was not too fond of people putting a term on it for me. I was not fond of that at all. But I was navigating that in middle school, and then it comes to high school. Now the reason why I brought up because the downfall, the situation that happened with the mentor, with Statman, it in a way also links also with the situation with the mother, in a way that all link with why the situation that resulted in the Minecraft, in a spiritual warfare, witchcraft, yeah, that all that ties into that situation too, because it does show, it shows the healing I had to go through. It shows the ways in which how for so long, me being around so many different people, having so many different interactions with people, where their perceptions, where their projections, where the way they perceive me, where the way they just view me, where certain expectations that they even had, it ate at my spirit. It ate at my vitality. It ate at my life force. It ate at my being, that prevented me from being able to see my own light. Like, how could people beat you down and tear you down in such a way that you can't even acknowledge your light that shines so effortlessly? Somewhere along the lines, somewhere along the way, all outside of how my own light was even perceived, or how my own light even showed itself outside of me. The reason why that is important is because think it's funny how we go like all these life changes that happens in March. March of 2023. Y'all see how I know dates? Yeah. March of 2023. That's when I had the falling out with the spiritualist. And she claims to be able to walk with the ancestors. I just gave y'all a hint. She claims to. But there was one time where she did a live video and she was tarnishing my name. When she was saying I wasn't a reader, I wasn't channeling the deities. She was essentially saying I was not the spiritual practitioner that I am. And to me, that fucked me up. That fucked me up. Because when I came across her in about 2019 when I just started to become spiritual. Matter of fact, before I even get there, let me give y'all the journey about how I fully became spiritual. Let me give y'all that. Let me give y'all that before I get to her, because that ties into this too. I remember it was this is definitely year 20. It was either 2019 towards the end of 2019 though, and entering into 2020. My energy space, it was so I was drained. I was drained mentally, physically, spiritually. I was drained on every aspect. I was working two jobs. Excuse me. I was working two jobs, but at the time, I was at HEC2, which is community college. So I'm working the two jobs and going to school in the midst of that. That drained the hell out of me. And but the part to me that really was messing me up, that was really getting to me, I felt so unsatisfied. I felt like I wasn't living the life I'm supposed to be living. I wasn't. I wasn't supposed to be working those two jobs. I wasn't even supposed to be going to school at that time. And I know now that the reason why I wasn't supposed to be going to school then was because I was pushed into it. Because everybody else going to school, now I need to go. I needed more clarity than what I was going to school for. I was going for business administration, but I already knew a pretty good chunk of business. Granted, look at all I know now about business. And I got a lot of that from high school. But even before that, I just come from a business-minded family. Yeah, it's embedded in us. Because there's a lot of my ancestors that ran businesses. So, of course, there's a thing or two that we picked up on along the way. Okay? Now, I remember I was working the two jobs and I was at the school and I sent out a prayer to God. At the time I was praying to Jesus. And I said, I need you to make it clear to me. I need you to make it clear on what I'm supposed to be doing. On what I'm supposed to be doing, how I'm supposed to be of assistance, or how I'm supposed to be living within your life, right? I needed some clarity and I needed him to give it to me. And in the midst of me navigating life and praying, after I said that prayer, I noticed I started to get a strong pull, push in my body to quit one of the jobs and to quit school. And I'm navigating it. I'm like, oh shit, I don't know. Damn, like I need this. Like, what else am I gonna do? Like I gotta do something. Can't just not do nothing. But then even that's a reflection of somebody else's perception of how I'm supposed to be living my life. Because people always think we gotta be doing something. What if what you're supposed to be doing is just resting so that you can receive what else it is that you need to know what you gotta do, okay? But, hold on, let me get this right, okay? Because I should have been putting this on. But I remember when I had sent out that prayer, I started to get all this pull essentially in my energy, what I'm supposed to be doing. Holy shit. I'm missing one because this, oh, there it is. And my mind was telling me to quit the job. My mind was telling me to also quit school. And it wasn't just my mind. I now know that that was my ancestors. That was my tuition. That was my ancestors. That was God speaking. That was them giving me the clarity that I just asked for. But I had to go through that to understand how that was the clarity, right? And here's how I knew that. Because I noticed how even with me going back and forth with the thoughts in my mind on what they were telling me to do, on what I was being pushed to do, even after that prayer, I noticed in my mind I kept going back to, oh, what would my mom think? Or what would she want? Or what would she expect? Or what would Taisha think? Or I was thinking about everybody else. Everybody else, but I wasn't thinking about me. That's that when I fully recognize being able to just sit in my own mind and see how, oh, that ain't my thoughts. That ain't my thoughts at all. That was when I first actually became conscious. That's when I first became conscious. And I remember I was I remember when that happened too. I was at my apartment at the time, and I wasn't at the Hawks Landing apartment, the HSC apartment, because from there, I moved to my real first adult apartment, but it was me and my sister, my middle sister. It was a 2 bedroom, 2 bath. It was a real nice place in a real nice neighborhood. But anywho, I remember I was in my room and I had this, I think it was like a 65-inch TV that I had at the time. And I ain't never mounted, but it was on the floor. So it was on the floor right there by my bed. And I was watching Game of Thrones. And I remember I was watching Game of Thrones, being in my head about the shit, about what I'm going to do, about my sense of direction, right? And long and behold, that's when spirituality also came into the picture. Because when I came across, we're going to call it Big Mouth, that's my name for it. When I came across Big Mouth, I'm talking about a walk with the ancestor lady. When I came across her, it was a family dollar video where she was reading for the cashier. She was reading for the cashier, and I was drawn. I was drawn to that. I was pulled in, and now I actually wanted to talk to my own ancestors. But that interaction, that's really what introduced me to her in general. So from there, now I'm watching all these other different videos that she have. I'm getting more insight on spirituality. I'm getting more understanding on spirituality. But even in the midst of that, I'm still trying to navigate and understand my own connection to God, trying to navigate and understand who God is, right? And I remember when I first had got a reading for her, it was on IG, it was on Instagram Live. It was the first time she ever seen me, first time she ever did a reading for me, first time she ever seen my whole family. She seen my mama too, and she read for my sister. That she did all three of us that time. All three of us. That's when she told us that we came from a royal bloodline, so much other stuff, right? Now, here's why I'm bringing that portion of it up, because there's something that she mentioned. She said from my grandmother Eloise, she said that she mentioned I need to either be going to school or I need to be out here like Martin Luther King. And me being a spiritualist, that is me being like Martin Luther King. So I either need to be in school or be a spiritualist. She ain't never tell me that I was supposed to be a spiritualist. The reader though, she ain't never tell me I was supposed to be a spiritualist. I ended up finding that out through a different reading. But anywho, I remember around the time I had got that reading, I had ended up getting another reading from a practitioner that was tied to her in some capacity. And when I had got that reading, the reader said, I can even see you up here on Black Magic. That was her hotline. It was a psychic hotline. And I'm like, me? Huh, okay. Let me go do some things about that. So from that point, when I had got that reading from her, I can't even think of what her name was. I think her name started with the A though. But when I had got that reading from her name was Ari. There, thank you. When I had got that reading from her, something in me sort of clicked to make me just think more on what I'm supposed to be doing, on what God is leading me towards. And I knew that I needed to be of service to the community. And one of the things that she validated in there, not even validated, she just made it make a bit more sense, gave me a bit more clear view of it, how I naturally have this nurturing energy towards me, that need to help, that need to just give advice. And then now it clicked. Huh. All those times that people came to me when they didn't know why they was coming, but they came to me asking me for clarity, asking me for advice, asking me certain questions about things. Mind you, a lot of things they were asking me questions on or asking me for clarity on, I have not lived a life yet to to be able to give them that clarity, but I gave them exactly what they needed and they understood it. So even then, being younger, I was working a gift, didn't even know I was working a gift of being a medium, right? That's important too. Um, okay, and I'm like, where I'm going with this? Now back to the reader, right? So now I remember there was a reader that I ended up meeting on Twitter. Yeah, it was on Twitter. And the reason I ended up coming across her was she was a medium too, but she was outside of the people that I just met from here. Now I also find it interesting that with all my trainings and everything for it, my folks always made sure that it was some people outside or tied to this woman. Because after I had got that reading from that one reader that's from Twitter, I end up also being connected, tied and connected to somebody that can help me further develop my abilities. That's when I went to, what was her name? Oh, Phoenix. Mama Phoenix on Twitter, which now I think is Auntie Phoenix, but I'm gonna say Mama Phoenix. And she was actually the one that helped me to get a better understanding of walking in my gifts. Actually, it wasn't even fully her. It was when I got the reading from Kayana. Because yep, it was her. I misspoke. She was the one that taught me how to walk my gift of mediumship. So from that point, I said, you know what? Now I gotta practice, and I just started practicing. And I remember I had did a reading at the time on my best friend. We're gonna call her D. I had did a reading on D, and I did the reading. That shit was accurate as hell. And I'm like, oh, okay, look at me, look at me. So now it's coming to a point to where Big Mouth, she's looking for readers. And I remember before I even became a reader for her, I was in the comments first. I was one of the supporters first before I became somebody a bit closer in her circle. And it all started from just being in the comments, right? But I remember there was a time where she needed readers, and I wanted to audition. And she knew it was very much going to happen. But I remember one time we even talked right before she even opened up for Black Magic that first time where we went live. She said, Yehuda says you need to do a little bit more practice so that you can be ready. And then that's when they told me to get the cards. They told me to pull out the cards better, because before I started working with the cards, I was just channeling shit. I was just seeing what was coming through. I was just trusting, right? But I noticed when they were telling me to get the cards, it was because having the cards made it easier for me to pull out that message. It made it easier for me to know where they're trying to navigate me towards what the message is, instead of me just channeling shit, right? So I listened. I did more practice, and then she ended up having it to where she said, "Okay, you're gonna have to She said you're gonna have to do readings for 3 different people. I'm gonna have to test your accuracy with those 3 different people, and then from there, we gon' see if we can get you a part of the team." So I remember there was a class that she did that was tied to the gifts too, where I ended up going, where I was one of the individuals up there, and I ended up reading for one of the people. That was that one. Out of the 3 that I needed to read, that was one. That she said, okay, you're a pretty good reader. All right. Then I ended up reading the second person. And then one of the other persons I ended up reading was actually her daughter. Yeah. Talking about ain't no damn reader, bitch, please. So when I did that reading, her daughter called her immediately. And I remember there was even a name that was mentioned in that reading too. She brought it back to her mama's attention. Her mama brought it back to me to give me more clear, like, oh, this is who you was talking to. Like, okay. Surprised she came up. But essentially, I just now passed my three. I just read all three of the people that I was supposed to read, which shows that clearly I'm a reader. Clearly I'm accurate. And clearly you can't. Let me just finish the story before I get to saying all that other stuff that I want to say, because let me finish. So now that's about towards the end. Yep, that's towards the end of 2020, where now I'm a reader for him, because it was December 2020 where she ended up open. I think it was either. I think it was no. It was 2021. Yep, it was 2021. December of 2021 where she ended up opening up for the Black Magic. It was either December, January, one of them times. I just know it was close around the time of December where a lot of the conversations and things surrounding Black Magic ended up happening. But I remember that because there was also when I had quit working at, what was I working at the time? Concentrics, which was a call center, and it just wasn't working. But the beautiful thing about that was when I ended up quitting there, look at Spirit, they provided me with funding so that my bills are still able to get paid. But two, they also lined it up to where I was able to work at a metaphysical store. Now, here's the interesting part. I ended up getting told during a reading that they was lining me up with an opportunity to work at a spiritual store. But that reader who told me that, her name right now on Instagram is Respectfully T. That's my girl. I fucks with her heavy. I fucks with Holistic Cleo heavy. I fucks with Balkan Priestess on Twitter heavy. I fucks with Sacred Empress heavy. They're my girls. I fucks with them. Yeah, and I just realized there's four of them. I just realized that make us the five. Look at me. It'd be so funny if we're all one of the different elements too. All right, anywho, look at my ass. But yeah, I fucks with them. But anywho, I remember one time I needed to go to a metaphysical store, and the one that I usually go to did not have what I needed. So that's when I found out that there was one down the street. So the one I ended up going to down the street, it was actually Black owned. I didn't even know there was a Black owned one in town. So when I get there, I'm noticing the energy in here is significantly different compared to the one store I usually always go to. It feels so much heavier. I mean, so much lighter. The Black owned one, it felt so much lighter. And she had an altar in the front. That, yeah, you got my attention. You got all my attention now. You got all my attention. So I'm getting the feel of the store. I'm getting the feel of the space. I'm loving it in this store. So I go to talk to the owner. I spark up a conversation because out of nowhere the conversation gets sparked too. Which, shit, hurt it. Fuck. I'm trying to peel off this glue if you haven't noticed. But I noticed it was really my ancestors that was sparking the conversation too, because the way that my gift works is my ancestors, one thing they're going to do, they're going to insert their thoughts, and they're going to keep inserting them till I listen to them, which that gives me the, I'm glad I'm in a space to know what my thoughts is compared to my ancestors. I'm so glad I know that. That's why I have my Unlocking Your Cosmic Roots workbook. The way that I centered that in a way to get you to have a better understanding of your internalized world so you can navigate the world around you, which in turn would help you to navigate the spiritual world too. But anywho, I remember when a conversation was sparked, I ended up reading the store owner. And now she's telling me, you know what, stop talking. Go ahead, meet me in my office. So I ended up going to her office. Now I'm reading her, and she's telling me how she was also initiated. I believe she was initiated into EFA. Yep, EFA. Because she had her bracelet. I'm seeing it now in my head. I remember she was telling me how she ordered food one day, and one of her Uber drivers or something like that were telling her to get a medium. She said she delivered some food to the shop, and the Uber driver was telling her to get a medium. And once she gets a medium, everything's going to be okay. Long and behold, I walked in the store. So that moment showed me not only the connection that I have with my ancestors, but it also showed me the connection that I have with the Orishas. Because that opportunity was an opportunity given to me by the Orishas. One of the things that she also made sure that she pointed out, talk about the store owner here, was she told me how the person that was the driver, they had on black and green. That's even funny now because that just clicked something in me that I didn't even realize before. But that's Ogun's colors. But I'm so glad that she mentioned that because now that I'm thinking about it, I remember I even had a reading with a Babalao where it was mentioned where Ogun's energy was mentioned too. So I thought that was interesting. Now that I'm thinking about it too, and I work my hands. Damn. Damn. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. I don't know why they just hit me like that. Yo. Yo. I don't know why they just hit me like that. Yo. Wow. Wow. And I'm a healer working with my shut the front and the back door. I'm so glad that moment just happened. I'm so glad that moment just happened. Oh my gosh. Now, back to it. Good God, hold on. I feel like I gotta sit in that for a minute. Whew. All right. Ma. Hold on. Ma. Ma. You know some weed in there? What? There's some weed in there. Yeah, something in there. It's in the room. I don't know if it's on my bed or on that dresser, but it's in there. You got some? Yeah. Now. I'm tired. I'm gonna go to sleep right. Okay. That's cool. Yeah, that just hit me. That just hit me like that. Oh, going and work with my hands? Wow. But anywho, so long and behold, from there, then I started working at the store, at the metaphysical store. So now I'm navigating working at the store. That's one source of income, but I'm also working the hotline with the lady, right? The psychic hotline. I'm working the hotline with the lady. But I'm not only just working the hotline, I'm also getting bookings through her website too. So I'm doing a whole lot of reading this year. And if I'm not mistaken, all this was in 2021. I believe so. No, it was 2022. Because I end up quitting the office, not the office job, the call center job in 2021, December 2021. And I started working at the store either that January or February, somewhere around there. But anywho, so then I'm working at the metaphysical store. I'm focused on my business now. I'm focused on walking the spiritual walk, walking my spiritual life. And like I was supposed to, granted, because it's my fucking calling. I remember one time I had a reading from Mama Phoenix. And she told me, oh, they was just waiting on you. And they was. The spirits, the ancestors, oh, they was just waiting on me. They were. But I had to, everything, the situation that transpired with me first getting kicked out, that had to happen because that was actually the start of it all. Because all those different things I went through, I also went through healing, but I also was able to get closer to God when that happened. I had to live on my own. I had to be forced to live on my own so that I can understand what it means for God to speak through me. what it means for him to hear my prayers and know that he's hearing them because he's giving me the answers to the shit. I would not have understood that if I was in a lot of the spaces that I was in and interacting with a lot of the people that I was interacting with. But anywho, so I end up, I think it's another one in here. So now at that point, I'm working at the ladies' hotline. I'm working in the store. And then, let's fast forward a little bit. Now it's about this is important. 2022. It's either July or June of 2022, where the woman who I was working on the hotline with, she did a live reading. And she ended up doing a live reading for me. And in that live reading, she mentioned that the spirit said I was supposed to be her protege. She mentioned that the spirit said I was supposed to be working on the tarot deck. And they told me exactly who they wanted me to work on the tarot deck. And they said exactly how they wanted the front cover of the tarot deck to look. That was also the live where spirit came through and they said that I was also to go to some of the aesthetics with her to see how the work happens, to see how things were done. That was June or July of 2022. That's important. All right? All right. Let's go on, move forward. So, 2023, March 2023, back to that date, March 2023. The lady goes live. She goes live and she said I ain't connected to spirit. She said I can't read. She said I'm not tapped in. She said I can't talk to the deities. She's spreading a bunch of lies on this live, and she calling me out. But you also know what's funny, and I have not told people this. I always knew that she was gonna call me out, but I didn't know that it was gonna be how she did it, and here's why. Because when she would always have falling outs with people before she had the falling out with me, it always felt like when she was having those fallings out, it always felt like as if I did something wrong. Me now realizing what that really was my spirits, my ancestors putting me in the energy of being able to accept the disappointment when it came down to being my time. So when I say I feel energy years before it happens, I was in this woman's presence. I remember clear as day. I was in this woman's presence where I was battling my own thoughts because I was hearing people say, don't trust her. There was times I was even in her presence where I wouldn't speak. I would be silent. I would be mute. So that means I'm not opening up to you. I ain't having a conversation with you. And to me, that means something. That means you're not right to me in my spirit. That means you're not making me comfortable. And at the time, I wasn't fully paying attention to it because to me, that's her. She just doing her thing. She's just doing her job. I was trying to push it past her that she can't be the way that these thoughts are, the way that they're coming to me. But the whole time, those thoughts that I had, it was my ancestors. But I fully didn't know that because every time I had them thoughts, I was up here calling her, telling her I'm having the thoughts. And she over here telling me it's the industry witches. No, it was my ancestors. And she had the nerve to claim that she built me. What? If that's the case, why you ain't tell me that was my ancestors if you built me? If you so built me, why didn't you put me in a space to fully understand when they were speaking compared to when it was probably a trickster or something else far in between? But claiming to build people. Oh, you didn't build me. That was spirit. Because even me being connected to you, I built myself up to be able to get up here to be a reader. Yeah, I had the reading. Asked for clarity even more. Things were revealed. Things were shown to me. What I did from there, I did what needed to be done. claimed I wasn't no reader. Please, stop it. You know what's also interesting though? Sidebar. I remember I gave a reading to her. I don't think she noticed how my reading for her came to pass. It came true already. I remember one time I gave her a reading. I said that she was going to meet somebody that looked like she's like a dyke. She's giving that energy. And a few months later, she ended up putting up a dyke from the live that she was going to almost be associated with, connected with. Oh, let me do these nails. But, yeah, that definitely go right there. So, when she went live and she did that though, my reaction, the way I just had that reaction when she first went live and did all that, that wasn't my reaction. That really, that sent me into shock. Because what you mean, I can't do all the things that I've just been doing it for all this long. You mean to tell me from 2021 to 2023, because I started my training for the psychic development of mediumship. I started my training of that. It was March 2021, I believe. It was in March or April when I had gotten an accident. When I had gotten my car accident to make me lose my car. That was also around the time where I took a shroom trip, which is why I lost my car. But anywho, excuse me. When I had, so you mean to tell me from all that time of me working against and talking to all these spirits, you mean to tell me I now cannot talk spirit? And the reason why it hit me so close to home, it was because around that time I was also putting everything that she said at like a space of hierarchy. Like a lot of things that she said, I was taking heed in that. Oh, okay, I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna listen, and I know it to be true. Because she was tapped in. She was tapped in. She was tapped in. She could read her butt off. I ain't gonna hold you. She could read her butt off when she keep herself in check. That's one thing that she could do. She could read her butt off. When she keep her ego in check, she can read her butt off. That's one thing that she can do. But at the time, that really messed up my spirit. That really did. But I also know that even being in that space with her, she would have never allowed for me to excel the way I needed to. Because there were certain things that my ancestors wanted me to do. There were certain products that they wanted me to create, that they wanted me to work on, certain things that they wanted me to focus on. And they knew that she wouldn't let me do those things because she didn't want me to outshine her. I'm talking about the other practitioner here. Because when I came into the picture, I wasn't just now getting a very strong and closer connection to the deities that she channeled, but I was also getting a connection with a lot of the people that was a part of her community, her supporters, her family, her cousins. As she said, one band, one sound. Y'all ain't moving like a band since. But anywho, when that transpired, when that had happened, I think that goes there. I feel like this is this hand, so I'm gonna keep that right there. When squeezing tape for you. No. So when that happened, when that had transpired though, that really did something to my spirit. That really affected me because what she tried to do was she tried to break my spirit. She tried to cause heartbreak. She tried to bring me down in such a way where I wouldn't be able to recover. That's exactly what she intended to do. Because she knew very well for a fact that I was connected. She knew very well for a fact that I was tapped in. She knew very well for a fact that I was everything that I was proclaiming to be and more. But at the time, being in that space, I was not even fully aware of what my power was. And I didn't even fully see how being tied to her, she didn't want me to. people don't know this, but there's a lot of spiritual experiences and phenomena that I've experienced tied to her. I remember one time I was just coming home too, and I was just about to get ready for an event that she was actually gonna do, and it was a Zoom event. It was a Zoom aesthetic that she was gonna do. And right before it was even time for that, I heard someone's thoughts in my head, and it was one of the women that were tied and connected to her at the time. The girl name was London, and I remember I was in a Facebook group with her, and it was a lot of us that was tied to the lady, which is why we end up getting in the group in the first place, right? So I remember when I was at home, I was in my room, just about to get ready for the event that was gonna happen, and that's when I started to hear this lady, London. I heard clear as fucking day in her voice. I heard her say some shit to me in my voice, and that shit that fucked my head up. I said, whoa, hold on, wait a minute, what the hell is going on here? And what she was saying, it was not good shit. It was not good shit. But what I know, when that happened, I kept hearing one of my folks. They kept screaming, get out of the house, get out." Then I did. So as soon as I get out the house, I'm going down the stairs, and I lived on the second floor, and big mouth, she goes live where now she's talking about. Now that I'm thinking about it, they had to work together. They had to work together. Holy fucking shit. Now, she ended up going live, and now she's saying how she's gonna have to postpone the event because some things have just transpired. She just found out some information on some people. But when I was going down the stairs, the conversations, the things that I was hearing in here didn't stop. You know what else I heard? I heard that lady, she was doing Walk on My Love Life. It's the reason why that's important. Because in 2023, where she did the live, one of the things that she said when she was trying to tarnish my name and make me not feel good about myself was she said I was being delusional about somebody. And that messed me up too. Because what you mean I'm being delusional about him? I had dreams about this man. Me and her even had conversations about this man. I've even gone to other readers where he's popping up in the energy, and I don't even have to bring up his name. I'm being delusional. That fucked me up for a minute until I realized that all of this year, and including a bit of sometime last year, was my folks putting me in a space of understanding. Hey, you weren't delusional. You experienced exactly what you thought you experienced with that boy. And that was a love. That was a love like no other, okay? Do you hear me? And I'm saying it in the sense of, you know how people say they want to feel in the sense of love? I felt in the sense that shit. All of it. And it was intense. 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 So much so that I remember I even heard him. I heard him tell me in his voice. One time, I was in my room watching TV. I had me a joint and everything. I remember it was around nighttime too. I was a bit in my thoughts, and then out of nowhere, I heard in his voice. He said, "I love you, teacher. I really do. I just don't know how to handle that yet." And when I received that, if I'm not mistaken, that was around 2022. Yep, if I'm not mistaken. For her to come to all this with all these lies in 2023, motherfucker, I can't stand that motherfucker. I can't. But anywho, I need to finish his nails because all this goddamn talking I'm doing, I keep getting distracted. But when I had that experience where I first heard the girl London, I noticed that experience really allowed for my gift of clairaudience to be opened, because that was one of my first experiences of witchcraft. I experienced witchcraft that time. Yeah, that was witchcraft. I remember when that happened, that was really one of the experiences that allowed for me to be a bit more open to the spiritual channels of my ancestors. So now I can better hear. I can better pick up on the things that they're telling me. I can better distinguish between my own thoughts and theirs. Right? So that was just one situation that it happened. I remember there was a time where I want to go with this. People don't even know this, but even dealing with that lady also caused issues with the dynamic of my own home. At the time, it was me and my sister that was living together. So me having a connection with her, it was affecting the connection with me and my sister. But then it started to affect all the other relationships that had surrounded me too. And I ain't like that. But I didn't see how she was the problem. I'm thinking it's everybody else's problem. Nah, it was her that was the problem. But I was so in it. I was so into the spiritual, and I was so hell bent on what she was channeling, which is why I was always hell bent on listening to her because of the things that she was channeling. You see, I thought I was able to be in a space to better discern between her flesh speaking and the spirit speaking. I wasn't. I wasn't, not one bit. But hold on. That actually look like it worked. Yeah, but it's gonna be for this one. Yeah, but where was I going with this? Okay, when I gotta mention this too, she had a aesthetic in October. It was either like that wasn't October. I think it was either like September, October, around that time, when she had a aesthetic that was in Chicago, and that was in 2022. In 2022, and I went to it in person. That was one of the first live aesthetics that I ended up going to in person, and I remember when I was having a private conversation with her. I actually wasn't with her. I was in her room, but I was having a private conversation with one of the people that worked closely with her, essentially her assistant at the time. I was having a conversation with her, and then when I was talking to that assistant, I mentioned something from one of the deities, and she ended up telling me how she just had a conversation with Big Mouth where the deities just said the same thing that I just mentioned. The reason why that's important, because I didn't notice, but that was the jealousy of that woman seeping in. Because when the girl, her name was Maya, when Maya went to tell her that of what I just channeled, Big Mouth, she at the time was like, "Oh wow," and then she went silent. Or she said something along the lines of, "Oh wow, that's crazy," and then she went silent. Which I know sometimes when she be going silent like that, that's also her trying to go into spirit to go see and look at some shit. But that was also really the first time I was at anesthetic though. That was the first time where now I'm feeling like, okay, I'm walking into this energy, into this walk of being a protege. Okay? I didn't even fully know what it meant to even work with my hands at that capacity neither too. And here's what's interesting. There was one time, even before this, where she had told me I was talking to her personally, and she told me something about the energy surrounding my hands. She said the spirit gonna have you working with your hands, so start paying attention to the energy that you feel in your hands. I don't think she remembered none of the shit that she channeled for me personally. Not one thing. And the beautiful thing about that though, somebody just said ignorance is bliss. Because she got caught up into all her traps when she did what she did. Because here's the beautiful thing about her spreading all them lies the way that she did. I always knew that she fell into my ancestors' trap. Because the lies that you spread it, all of them can be, what's the word? I'm going to just say devalued because that's the word that came to me. All of them can be devalued. All of them can be debunked by going to a live reading, right? So in the midst of me being tied and connected to her, I've noticed how there's been a lot of different situations, scenarios, and things that just happen to where on the low, on the slide, she was always showing that she was jealous. She was always showing that she didn't like how much attention I was getting. She was always showing how she didn't like how fast and how quickly I was moving up the ladder, moving within my gifts, and how quickly I was starting the channel. All that she didn't like it at all. But I did it. I wasn't fully paying attention to those things because again, I'm thinking, all right, I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm working my gifts. I got all this attention. The money is coming in, so I'm like, all right, everything's good. I'm literally doing everything I'm supposed to be doing, so ain't nothing to worry about, right? And then the shit hit the fan in March. What's crazy? People don't know this, but I actually there was another prayer that I ended up saying that caused the situation to happen with her in March. I prayed out to spirit, to the ancestors for clarity. I say, why it seem like every time it comes down to going to a aesthetic in person, I can't get there? Why it seem like I keep blocking me? There was one time where she even had one in Tampa, but the day that she had it in Tampa, coincidence, that was the day that my grandmother was having her party down south. So we traveled down south. So I wasn't able to go to it in person, but I went to the Zoom. The only in person session I went to was in California. I mean, in Chicago. I now know the reason why I was supposed to be in Chicago was because the deities needed to do something within my energy themselves. It's like they needed to upgrade me essentially with something spiritually. And in order for them to do that, for some reason they had to do that through her body. Because I remember one of the energies, her name was Marilite, when she's one of the deities. When she had came through, she said, "This is divine timing for you to be here, TJ. Do you know?" Because it was. How was that the only aesthetic I was able to go to? Mind you, Florida, Chicago. That's a distance. I drove. I drove there and back. I, that was divine like crazy. Cause everything in my body, everything in me was saying, "Oh, let me go ahead and get there." But that's why I can't discredit all of her work. That's why I can't discredit all of the things that she do. I know that she have a flesh and I know that she have a spirit. But I know sometimes it can be two different things. But I didn't fully see how her flesh was eating at her spirit back then. I ain't see it. Now it's clear as God dog day because I've been removed out of the equation. But anyway, I sent out that prayer and I said, you know what? I need to understand some things. I need y'all to see. I need y'all to make it clear on why it seems like I keep getting blocked. And I'm thinking y'all want me to be tied to this. Y'all want me to be connected to this. So what's going on? What's T? I need y'all to tell me what's T. So before the situation happened where she did the live, where she was tarnishing my name, before that happened, she would throw dabs on the live. She would say certain things, but you'll know that she trying to insinuate some shit, but she'll never give it a name. However, every time that she would say some of those slick comments, something in me said, "Is she talking to me?" It felt like she was because she was slinging sick shit my way. But it was never up from the deities that she was giving her information. Because if that yeah, that never was the case. Because if that was the case, why would your mother? She don't know this. Her mother came to me in a dream space. When the situation happened, it was about 2 days or a day after she went to live. I was in a dream, and her mother came to me, and she said, it was towards the end of my dream, and I say that because it's actually what made me wake up. I heard her say her name. She said Miss Dean. I believe that was her mama. She said her name twice too. She said Miss Dean. Miss Dean. Then she said, "We told her you did nothing wrong." So You mean to tell me your ancestors, your mother, your deceased mother, came to you before you went live, spreading all these lies on my name, and you knew for a fact I did nothing wrong? Now, your ancestor, your mama, which at that point, with her speaking, that also means that she's speaking for your collective ancestral body, right? So now you mean to tell me that your ancestors also know I did nothing wrong, which also means I did nothing wrong according to the deities, the Orishas, and the Gede. Of course, I didn't do nothing wrong. The only thing that I did wrong was trigger your demons. And that wasn't anything I did wrong either. I needed to trigger your demons. Because in the midst of me triggering your demons, I also broke free. Another thing that people don't know that I now realize was I was introduced, this was one of the very first ancestors that I was introduced to. And she's a healer. She was a healer that also had the ability to sing. We can call her Mama Ed. Can I say it? Mama Ed. She was a healer. She had the ability to sing. She wrote songs. When I was actually introduced to her energy, she came to me in a dream space. And I seen my deceased aunt. And I thought it was my aunt at the time. And I seen someone that looked like my uncle physically, but I knew it was an ancestor because he had on white. So I seen my deceased aunt and I seen the guy, the man. They both had on white. And as I went to hug the lady, I'm thinking it's my specific auntie, and I kept hearing, that's not her. That's not her. And before I woke up, what even made me wake up from the dream was I heard a song started playing in my head. And this is in a dream, right? But the lyrics that I kept making out, she kept telling me her name. Her name was the lyrics. Okay. Here's why that's important. Because in that dream, before I got to that scene of seeing her, of being revealed to her, I was in a prison. Yeah, that dream. I started off by being in a prison, right? And at first, I thought it was a reflection of my father being in a prison, because I remember when I was actually in the prison, I kept hearing somebody call out my father's name. It was like as if they weren't calling out my name. But I ended up getting a dream interpretation done on this whole thing. But let me keep going. One of the other things that happened was there's now a point in time to where there's a conflict, there's chaos that's happening at the jail. So now I'm about to get the hell up out of here. Everybody else is still stuck. However, I'm about to get the hell up out of here. I don't know what transpired fully to make the things escalate the way that it did. But all I just essentially remember was you had all these people with guns that were at the front of the jail. But it was like they were centering all their attention inward towards the people that's in the jail. I say, I gotta get the hell up out of here. I got to go. I got to go. So I remember I was able to walk past the people with guns as if I wasn't even there, as if they couldn't even see me. There's a reason why that's important. Now, then I end up walking this very suburban like neighborhood, and in the midst of me walking the neighborhood, I end up coming across this field. I see two boys getting in the car and driving away. Then I end up seeing a cabin, but I now know that those two boys that end up seeing, those two boys were tied to Mama L. Those are two of her children. Now, with the cabin, I remember when I got to the cabin that was in the middle of the field, there was a lion. The lion was coming in this direction. I was going in that direction. But the way that the lion was attacking me. That's interesting. And I thought it was interesting to me too, because at the time, one of the deities that I was connected and associated with, it was a representation of lion. That's interesting. So I ended up getting some further dream interpretation done on this specific dream. And I remember the guy that did the interpretation for me, he told me one of the things that I needed to watch out for was there was a group of people that I needed to watch out for. I realized how that group of people that he was talking about was that lady in her clique. Here's also what's interesting. The there's a I had got a reading from somebody. I don't want to mention her name, but I had got a reading of somebody that was also tied to this lady, and she ended up running her mouth about the things that was mentioned in that reading, about the things that, yeah, the conversations and whatnot that we had. She ended up running her mouth and went to go tell the lady. And what happened was I wanted to talk to this reader because I knew she also had the ability to talk to the deities too. Mom, the door. I knew that. Don't piss me off. Okay. I knew that the reader had the ability to talk to the deities too. So when this lady was coming and spewing all this stuff that she was spewing on alive, yet she wasn't fully pointing out who it was that she was saying that shit about, I went to the girl that was the reader. I went to her. I needed some clarity. I needed some understanding. Specific. I needed you to go talk to the deities because clearly I can't get to her about it. So I get to her, and when I'm in a conversation, when we're in a conversation, she didn't even notice that one of the spirits that she started to channel, just now starting to channel, was Mama L. She came in at towards the end of the session, and she didn't even fully reveal herself to her. She she knew what she was doing. The reason why she was even showing herself, she wanted you to show that I was protected. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Trying the shit that you try. You think you gonna go? You think you gonna go untouched with the situation too? Please, please. You did wrong here. And as much as people try to put a lot of narratives and stories onto me, I don't be doing things wrong. And for so long, I've always thought I did things wrong. I've allowed people to gaslight me into thinking I did shit wrong, manipulate me into thinking I did shit wrong. So when she did that live, that's why I internalized it to think I did something wrong. Because it was a habit. I had to break it. I ain't do nothing wrong. I did everything right. I did everything right. I did it better than right. So much so that it triggered demons. So much so that it made people act the way that it act, especially when there's clearly proof that the motherfuckers lie. But anywho, I digress. I remember after the situation happened and I had the dream with her mom, I noticed how a big bulk of a big bulk of my energy, a big bulk of my attention, a big bulk of even what the spirit is doing is centered towards them getting me to understand who the fuck I am. Them get me to understand and see, hello, what you gotta do. This what you're supposed to be doing. This the work that you're supposed to be doing. This is what you need to be teaching. This is what you need to be healing. This is what you need to be making. It was a whole heap of stuff, right? But in the midst of all of 2023 and even this year, the beginning portion of this year, it was me healing myself, invigorating myself in such a way to call back all my power, to call back all my authority, to call back all my life force that has been taken from me back to elementary. From elementary to middle to high school to the adult shit, bringing all that back. Everything that was taken from me, from my power, from my authenticity, from my essence, I had to call all that back. All of it. All of it. All of it. And in the process of me doing that, my gifts got stronger. In the process of me doing that, my ancestors got stronger around me too. I stepped more firmly into the path that I'm supposed to be in. Because like I said, that lady she didn't want me to get past just being a reader. She didn't want me to get past just being the reader that she was able to control too. I remember she had something called Melanated Mark. She had a meeting for it before she was going to launch. And I remember right before it had happened, I remember I actually heard from one of the spirits, one of the deities that was tied to her. They kept saying, she's going to use you as a scapegoat. And I was, huh? I said, nah, you wouldn't want to let her do that. She did. She made her issues my issues. And I've allowed her to make her issues my issues until I realized I'm more powerful than this. I have more authority than this, and I realized I'm more than you've allowed for me to see. I'm more than what you've allowed to me to have access to. Because another thing that she tried to do was she tried to deny my access. Boom. She tried to deny my access. And you know what that made my ancestors do? That made them show me how I had the access. And I actually just came to the understanding recently how I'm able to even talk to the deities because of my connection to the Loas, but also the Haitianness in my blood. It's because of that aspect that's in my blood. I believe that's my father's side. But that aspect of it that's in my blood that allows me to even have that connection, that allows me to channel efforts effortlessly the way that I do. And I even had, can I tell them? Okay. Here's how I even got that dream. This was around the time, close around the time where she did that damn live with all them lies too. Because my spirits, my ancestors literally had to put me in a space of seeing how I had access to understand how I had access. Which why earlier in the video, in this live, where I was talking about when I started working at the metaphysical store in a situation with Ogun, how that hit the click with me realizing I work with my hands so much and Ogun is the man that work with his hands. Yeah. Another way of them showing me I had access. But in this case, I remember I had a dream, and now that I'm thinking about it, the sky of the dream, it was very purple. It was giving me the vibes of purple and black. And usually when I see things like that, it makes me think of the graveyard. It makes me think of the Gede. It makes me think of the Loa. So when I had seen that, I remember my father coming up to me and he handed me a lighter. Guess what was on the lighter? It said voodoo on the lighter. Another thing I noticed within this particular space is Yehuda's energy was around. Yehuda's one of the energies, one of the deities that's tied to this lady that spread all these lies. So I'm like, this is a very interesting dream. But it really did not fully click on me of everything that this dream meant until probably about 3 weeks ago, maybe. See, my dreams be dreaming. Sometimes I pick up on and know exactly what the hell to be talking about, but sometimes I don't. Okay. Sometimes I just need to sit with the dream. Okay. But when I was with that lady, that was nothing but witchcraft. Essentially, of me navigating the connection with her, even me having all these experiences that was a byproduct of me just simply being connected to her. Yeah, no, this shit was for the fucking birds. I'm honestly glad that it went down the way that it did. Although it was very nerve-wracking at first, that experience helped me get my power back. That experience allowed for me to awaken fully into my authority, awaken fully into the anointing that God has placed in me. That she was trying to dim. That she was trying to not mimic. That she was trying to eat off of. She was trying to eat off of it, feed off of it. She was also just trying to diminish it. Can't do that. Nah. And that's why I had to go back memory lane, go back to my past and see how I've always been a person that would speak. I mentioned that earlier. I've always been a person that had all these people just navigate towards me or be so connected to me. So when I got to being in her energy, it was very much that. People was coming on to me like crazy. And I was being very vocal about a lot of things. I was very much channeling my butt off. So when she did that live, she also she silenced me. Now she did silence me. Until I had to release that blockage on my throat chakra. The blockage, that did not stem. That energy there, the blockage there did not fully sit. Partly only because of her, but because of how that tied to mother wounds. Because that was for the first experience with My voice was not appreciated, was not honored, was not heard. And when I was even tied to her, I was in fact looking for mother into her, and I didn't even notice. Yeah. But I'm glad the things happened and transpired the way that it did, because I'm a far better practitioner now. I am a far better person. I can't even say better person because I've always been a great person. But I'm a far better practitioner. I'm a far better person now. I'm glad she tried to tarnish my name, because that was also my spirit's way of getting me away from people that were no good to me. And I couldn't even fully see how it was a lot of wolves in sheep's clothing over there. A lot of them. A lot of them, because a lot of them so quickly went back to her side. You should have seen quick, how quick my follower count dropped. Quick and in a hurry, because they immediately trusted her story. They immediately trusted her side. Some of it was because of fear. Some of it was because of some of the very things that I was doing, which is putting everything that she said on the pedestal. So when she get to saying some things, oh, it's the truth. Yeah, it's the truth. We don't even give it a second look. But what was crazy to me was a lot of people that went to acting funny. These are even people I had personal readings with. I read for them before. They give me confirmation back before. Even some of the people that she used to tarnish my name were some of the people that I have evidence of them sending me confirmation of things that I mentioned to them in sessions. One of them even liked the first session so much that he was tipping me. And the way that he was tipping me the amount of these sessions, but not expecting a session. But I ain't no reader. But I ain't no practitioner. I am who God sent me to be. I am who my ancestors say that I am. I am who I say I am, and more. And it took me going through that experience to understand that I had to take my power back. I had to venerate myself, my inner child, my inner teenager, my younger. I had to venerate every aspect of me to bring me back to where God needed me to be, so that there's no confusion, so that I'm not doing things that are out of alignment, so that I'm not running around like a chicken with his head cut off. That experience, that also got me closer to God. So a lot of these experiences, although they were life-changing. Although they were life-changing, those experiences have helped me to become the reader that I am today, the healer that I am today, that I'm evolving into, that I'm everlasting becoming, because it's an everlasting journey. It's a journey that's gonna keep on coming, that's gonna keep on happening. Okay? It's just gonna keep it on. Because I'm not stopping this work. Because I can't. Because even when I thought about not doing it, I would circle around right back to doing it. Do you know, every time I went back to go to somebody's job, I'm even reading the people in the damn job. Yeah. Last job I had, I was working at security. It was about 1, 2, 3, 4. Just know it was a lot of them coworkers I started reading. But in the midst of me reading them, I was still navigating, trying to build up my mental so that I'm not affected by all these lies and things that she said. Mind you, a big portion of it I did internalize. So I had to work through those personal things to get where I'm at today, okay? Let me put these goddamn nails on. So that I don't care what nobody say. I know who I am. I know what I can do. Damn, I ain't got no more glue. I know what I can do. I know what I'm gonna do. Let me see. Ma, This glue be by tougher than the bitch. If y'all know something about these glues, y'all, this nail glue be tough. Hold on. Hold on, y'all. Because I need some glue. You got some glue? Your nail glue? Oh, gosh. Let me get that out of my throat. Ugh. Okay. Hold on. I'm getting some nail glue. It's okay. I see it. Yeah. I'm gonna just take the whole thing. So I really had to go through all those experiences, even how no matter how life changing they were, because what I realized what God was doing was He utilized the last pretty much the last 7 years of my life, even beyond that, to peel off the layers so that I can truly be the way that He needed me to be. And it started off with that personal statement. It started off with that letter. Because that letter, it wasn't not only me now holding space for my emotions, but it was also me stepping firm into the first level, the first layer, the first aspect of my authenticity, which is my flamboyancy, my gayness, which in really, in all reality, is just my divine feminine on display. That's all. Just my shit. Just my divine feminine on display. That's all that is. But I've I've truly been through some things, and I'm actually grateful for those things. Some things really, not only did they help for me to be where I'm at today, those things also, a lot of people don't know this, but when I have experiences like that, it triggers a lot of divine understanding for me. It doesn't just trigger the clarity of the situation, but it also triggers, like, it triggers the clarity, the intellect, the wisdom, the knowledge, and the lessons, everything tied to it, from how it's even connected to past lives and other things. Yeah, it triggers all that for me. So it's not just a narrow, this life, this scenario type of thing or focus to where I'm now understanding those things. Now I'm starting to understand everything in totality about the holisticness of the cosmos, the holisticness of the collective. Yeah. So I spent all this time on this live, and I only did one nail. And the thing I was supposed to do was do my nails in the midst of talking. This just goes to show you that I was really I was in the mood. I was in energy to just talk, okay? But let me go ahead and finish these nails, and I guess I can just talk about some more things about my story, about how I became the medium that I am. And speaking of mediums and all the good stuff, of how I came here, what's funny is me now looking at it, when I first started my journey, there was even an aspect of it where I remember somebody told me that I had the potential of being initiated and all this other stuff. And when she said it, I completely, I let it brush right off my shoulders. I let it brush right off my shoulders. I let it go through one ear and out the other. But she said, when she said that, and I can see now the growth, because looking at it now, I wouldn't mind getting initiated because I've been through initiations. I've been through so many initiations with my ancestors. Like me going through these experiences that I went through, me going through life's challenges, me going through the circumstances of life, me going through the lessons of life was me going through initiations. Me going through the lessons of life was me going through initiations. Yeah, that's why God have us living this life. I'm honestly so grateful, because without any of those experiences, I would not be connected to God the way that I am. I would not be connected to my ancestors the way that I am. I won't be tapped in the way I need to be if it wasn't for those experiences. Because those experiences forced me to go inward. Those experiences forced me to sit with myself. Those experiences forced me to be real with myself. And I needed that. Because clearly people around me wouldn't be as real as they needed to be. And I was expecting them to be. And that was another thing about me too. I am so pure in such a way to where I was expecting purity from everyone around me. Earlier this year, I literally was sitting in the energy crying because I realized, like, God, you sent me down here with a bunch of people that is not as pure as me. You sent me down with people that does not think the way that I think, that does not move the way that I move. And I'm saying it in the sense of their morality, in the sense of their morals, their respect, their beliefs, because their characters. That's the thing, their characters. I always had good character. Always. So it kind of shook me to my core when I realized, oh God, you you got me around a bunch of people that ain't like me, that ain't got good character, that don't think about how their actions affect the next person, that don't think about how what anything that they're doing, period, can affect the next person, can affect the collective. I'm the type of person, I do the introspection like that. I be taking account of when I be doing certain things of how that can affect somebody else. Yeah, I be doing that. A lot of people don't do that. A lot of people are not self-conscious in a way like that to where they're able to even check themselves. So it really shook me to my core when I realized, oh, everybody ain't like you, TJ. You truly are one of the very few lights that God placed in this world. So you're gonna have to be a light that shine. You're gonna have to be a light that just be. Even when I don't want to be, even when I can't push myself to be, even when I don't feel it in my spirit to be, I still have to do what? Just be. I was very intentional with my clothing line. I was very intentional with the business of Cosmic Unlimited. I was very intentional with the creation of that. Because everything about it is a reflection of everything about it is a reflection of not only just my ancestors, but of how I essentially had to go through all the personal internalized work to be able to be of assistance to the community. Because essentially me going through all that shit, that was also God showing me of all the ways in which I needed to show up as a healer, which is kind of interesting too. Yeah, yeah. God, one thing God gonna do is He gonna use a lesson or two to show you a few things, not just one, but a few things in one lesson. He gonna show you a few things, okay? But yeah, God definitely He did His big one with me, and He's going to continue doing His big one, despite all the issues that I've had with family, with friends, with people that were supposed to be my community. I thought they were anyway. But so much of me trying to bring them along, God was trying to get them away from me. Ain't that funny? You know what that taught me? It taught me how to surrender. That definitely taught me how to surrender. That taught me patience. Yep. There's a lot of things I went through. But it really like I said, it helped me to get where I am. Even, thank you, because I might take this off because it looks a little wompy. Can I? No, I'm just taking the whole thing off. Even with getting kicked out the second time, because I got kicked out twice. The first time was in 2019. And then I told you how I had that apartment, right? I ended up coming back to stay with my mom for a while because it was only supposed to be a short period of time. But in the midst of that short period of time, a big portion of my income was from the lady. But then she did what she did. So then that messed some shit up too. And then it was other navigatings that I had to do in the midst of that. But anyway, I ended up going back to stay with my mom, and then come this year actually. This year in May. It was the beginning of May. She kicked me out again. But this time, it still had nothing to do with me. But I was more a bit more vocal. I can't even say as vocal as I needed to be neither. I was just starting to take up for myself. I wasn't so willy nilly accepting the bullshit that I was just being spewed out here. And another thing that I was navigating too was when I was first in your household, you had a lot more control over me. But now that I was out of your household for quite a while, to now come back to it, you don't. You can't tell me how to do certain things. You can't tell me what to do. It was a lot of things I just simply wasn't going for because I had boundaries. Okay, so then the situation came. There was one time, an incident where I really realized that it was really my ancestors that caused that whole incident to escalate the way that it did, because I was too comfortable here. I was too comfortable in the space that I was in. I was too comfortable being in it. I wasn't able to excel how I needed to excel. I wasn't able to grow how I needed to grow. I wasn't able to be propelled forward in the energy space that my ancestors had been pushing me towards where I needed to. So that was partly one of the reasons why they did end up allowing the whole situation to transpire how it did. But when that happened, it brought me, it made, here's how what it made me think. It made me think, not, well, it just brought me back to how everybody that loved me unconditionally, without rules, everybody who loved me unconditionally, without worrying about money and all that other stuff, they're dead. They're dead. You had my grandma. She died in 2018, I believe. You had my auntie. Then you had my father, who just recently passed. Then you had another auntie of mine, my auntie Connie. Then it was like, hold on. All these people that I just mentioned, these were outside of my daddy. But the other ones, these were people that when I was younger, they accepted me. They always loved me. They just loved them some good old TJ. And I remember when this was around the time when I got kicked out the second time. That was around the time when I went to South Carolina. And I went to South Carolina for my birthday trip. And another thing tied to that is I have ancestors that's tied to South Carolina, which is why I went to South Carolina in the first place. I wanted my birthday trip to be not only just for me, but I wanted it to be centered towards my ancestors. It was. So, hold on. Oop, I think I did too much, but it's okay. So, what's I going with this? Okay, now I know what I'm talking about. So, when the situation had happened of getting kicked out the second time, it shocked me a bit too. But the realm of understanding, excuse me, the way that I actually was able to heal things since being out of the space of my mom, oh, the healing went crazy. The healing went crazy, okay? But I'm talking about healing in such a way that's deeply layered to where it's not just me healing my shit, but I'm healing my ancestor shit. I'm healing all the cycles, all the generational cycles that I have endured from not just one parent, but both. Because some of that was because of cycles that they've endured from some of their parents and their grandparents. Okay, so I had to work through a lot of those things to help elevate my mind, to help elevate my spirit, to venerate my spirit, so that I'm able to be of better assistance to the collective. That's one of the reasons why, actually, it was the idea of me to do the ancestral veneration collective service that I'm going to do in February. That's why that idea was essentially given to me, because I'm realizing how I went through the process of veneration myself. I went through the process of venerating myself, but not even just venerating myself, knowing what it means to venerate my ancestors. So I'm translating all that. I'm translating all of that. I'm transforming all of that, channeling all of that into the collective ancestral veneration service. Because I ain't go through all that shit alone just for me to go through it. No. I went through it to help others go through the shit. I went through it so that they can know what it means to be venerated, so that they can know what it means to pull off the dead weight, the shit that's preventing them from being able to be in alignment where God wants them to be. And that's the main purpose of the program. Essentially, it's a call to action. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm essentially venerating you, peeling off those layers of yourself that's going to be tied to your energy body, that's also going to be tied to your chakras, that's preventing you from being where God needs you to be. I'm going to be peeling off those layers that's preventing you from being in alignment with how God wants you to be in alignment. So the service is essentially going to be snapping you back into place, snapping you back into alignment, but also in a way to where I'm going to be venerating your folks so that as you get the veneration that you need, they're able to be venerated so that they can better assist you with following your divine calling. Yeah. We ate. We ate. We ate with this session. We ate with this session. We ate with this session, okay? Yeah. 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 We ate. Uh-huh. We ate. That's one thing we did do. We ate. We ate. We ate. We so ate. And I'm so glad they gave me that the way that they did. We ate with that session, honey. Don't worry about this not having nothing right there. There's a reason why. I'm gonna come back to that. But yeah, I went through a lot of the things that I went through so that I could help other people go through it. So that I can help people know what it means to navigate those energies, even when they are in those transitional periods. Because I know, I understand. I understand. I understand. I lived some of the lives that you've lived. I've experienced a lot of the situations that people have experienced. And another thing that I need to mention too is I don't think people fully be understanding that a big bulk of when I give y'all advice and shit, it comes from a place of me having lived these experiences in past lives. Yeah. So it's like when y'all come to me about clarity and certain advice on certain things, all right, let me go ahead. Then I give you my spiel. With me giving you my spiel, and it just naturally flows, it's because I lived a life in the past before. I may not fully be conscious of how it may fully connect in the physical now, but my consciousness knows, which is why it came to me with the question in the first place. I hope I didn't lose you there. I really hope I did. Somebody just said I need to go live on TikTok. I will. I'll do that now. Go follow me on TikTok. I'll go live tomorrow. I'll go live tomorrow. Go follow me on TikTok. I'll go live. I'll go live tomorrow. But I'm not finishing this live until I finish these nails. Yo, who gonna check me? Matter of fact, you know what? I low-key want to change platforms. I think I want to go to a different live stream, but at the same time, I think I've been on live for too long anyway today, so I don't think I really want to be talking to people on the live. In a minute, I think I just want to go listen to some music. Probably go chillax for the rest of the night. I was supposed to take a spiritual bath tonight, but we gonna worry about that tomorrow. It ain't gonna hurt nobody. We gonna worry about that tomorrow. A girl like me, I keep my spiritual baths in rotation. I do them faithfully every week. And I do different intentions. But yeah, I keep a spiritual bath in rotation, baby. But this live was me telling you all a bulk of my story, telling you all how I survived some witchcraft, how I became to be the person that I am, how I started answering my calling, how I answered God's call, even when I didn't know that He was calling. Because that was the key too. I had to understand and realize that it was Him calling, but I couldn't really see it. I couldn't fully understand it because I was still searching for the answers, not realizing that the answers was already in front of me, already in front of me. Oh shit! I feel like I just messed up because somebody watching me too hard. Close your eyes. Don't be watching me too hard. I know I'm fine, but dang, girl. Like, oh my gosh. Where my man at, though? He coming, so I ain't gonna do all that. Oh. I low-key feel like I need to talk about my love life, because that's a part of who I am, too. Yeah, let's talk about it. I guess we can talk about that. My love life. You know how people say you probably shouldn't mess with your coworkers? Yeah, you should. You should. You should. You really should. Because that's my flesh talking about something I ain't had no business with this man. In reality, we needed to experience each other. So, he was the love of my life. And I've had I wouldn't say I've had relationships in the past because I haven't. But I probably had crushes. I had people that I was interested in the past, right? But it was never as serious as this. I'm trying to get the goo off. Mind your business. But it was never as serious as this. And the seriousness is in how it felt. How it felt. So, I remember I told you I worked at Wendy's. Well, when I was working at Wendy's, around the time where I was even working at Wendy's and having an internship at the credit union, the credit union was only for 2 months. That was during the summer. So around that time of me still working at Wendy's, another job I ended up picking up was working at Wawa. So now I'm working Wawa and Wendy's before I end up quitting Wendy's to just work fully at Wawa, which is another way of God saying you're trying to keep up with 2 jobs. Stop being greedy. Because I was forced out of Wendy's because I was being overworked and underpaid. And asked the time, actually, the lady, the manager, which is the reason why I quit in the first place. How you gonna sit here, have your family come in here, you gonna talk to them, and we got a line in the drive-thru, and I'm in the drive-thru. You better come help me. You don't get to talk. You don't get to socialize. Let's get this line down. Yeah, that's what we had to fall out. And that actually caused me to quit the job. I was mad that day. I stormed out that job and all. She almost got out of a job too because I called the district manager. She better be like, I changed my heart. Play with somebody else, mama, not me. Not me. I found the report reporting that store. I went to the district manager. Again, don't play with me. Find just somebody else to play with. And I was a corporate baddie back then. You couldn't tell me nothing. And granted, I definitely could have took that lady job too. That's what I should have just did in the first place. Just took a job. Then she would have been out the job. I would have took her job, and I would have made more money. Should have just took her job in the first place. But it's okay. Anywho, so now I'm working at Wendy's. That's when I meet the boy. I was crushing my ass off. I can't even fully tell you what it was. Actually, I can't tell you what it was that made us actually start talking to each other. It was because I was just thinking about this the other day too. It was because one of the coworkers that we had, he was the goofball of the store. And you know how usually you got the goofball of the store. That goofball of the store is gonna be the one that essentially brings the collective together, that bring all the coworkers together. And he was that person. He really was that person. I'm like, I'm missing a nail. Hold on, something's missing in this contraption of mine. Oh no, it ain't. uh, I'm not putting this nail on because it broke earlier. I see it. Yeah, that's a scar, honey. So it still hurt a little bit. Y'all can see a little bit. A little bit. You see the red? Blood, blood, blood. Thank you. So that's why I'm not putting that on. I'm gonna let that heal. Anywho, I was crushing on this man. I very much was, and I didn't realize that he was too. Because one of the things that I'm gonna do, I'm gonna flirt. And at this time, I was actually I was still in the midst of navigating my sexuality. But when I was working at Wawa, that was around the time where I was more so starting to actually walk it. Like I came out and everything around the time of me working Wawa too. So of course, I was a baby gay. I was a baby gay. So with me being a baby gay, I'm flirting. Very much so. And one thing about me, I'm a very flirtatious person. So I flirted with him because I gotta test the waters. I have to see how I'm going to be perceived. I have to see how I'm being received. First of all, that's it. I had to see how I'm being received. So I'm flirting, and I notice as I'm flirting, you're not pulling away from me. I'm like, okay, that's telling me something because usually when I'm expressing certain things to a straight guy, he's gonna turn me in the other direction. The fuck? Because he's straight. But this one didn't do that. He liked the compliments. He liked the way I boosted his ego. He liked the way I was feeding that shit into him. But I also know and understand that it wasn't just that. That was what we had. It was outside of the feelings. Outside of the feelings. If I don't want to say if I would have never nah, okay. No, I'm gonna just say it. If I probably never expressed that I had feelings for him, we probably would be friends right now. Nah, we'd probably be more than friends because I'm damn sure we would have went the extra mile by now. But friends benefit type of shit. But but we had a connection that was a genuine connection. It was a nice friendship before we got to all this other stuff. Cause we actually connected and all that other stuff. What I did with that top. So I became spiritual. I started, and not me saying I became spiritual. I'm saying that because my level of awareness increased. So I remember one time I did get a reading, and I was asking, I want to know some insight about this one, about him. And one of the readers just said, just ask him, just tell him how you feel. Long and behold, I did. I did. I think that was actually some of the best advice somebody gave me before. Just tell him how you feel. I did. And he didn't respond to me. Which, now that I'm thinking about it, it was expected because clearly it was DL. But I don't know, for whatever reason, I wasn't focused on the fact that he was DL. I was just focused on the fact that we gotta talk, we need to talk. I know some shit that you don't think I know, we need to talk. Now I was hell bent on talking. And I was hell bent on him telling me some things about what I was picking up on, especially considering the fact that now my level of awareness is increasing to where the answers that I'm seeking from you, I'm really receiving them already in my spirit. Yeah. So I remember when I expressed myself to him, that made me not even that made me that it linked up the time that I did express myself, it linked up perfect because I actually needed to go to Wawa to get a money order. I actually did not even need to go to that particular Wawa, to that particular ATM. I didn't. There probably could have been 16 gas stations in between where I lived and where that Wawa was. But I need to go. I need to go see him. So I went out of my way. Yes, and I went to go see the man. But I did stop at the ATM like I was supposed to because I had a mission to go there outside of me going there for him. So what was even funny about this though was the fact that he was already over there by the ATMs. It was him and another coworker, and I remember this is around the time when I sent him that I had feelings for him. It was a text that I ended up sending him. It was a pretty lengthy text too, and I remember now it was me and him talking, but we didn't. I didn't bring up the text or whatnot until the coworker moved. So now that old coworker of ours, because at this time I wasn't working there anymore. I stopped working at Wawa at this time of me expressing my feelings. Um, what happened was I was working Wawa and the corporate American job. I was working in somebody's office. Biz closed every day of the week. Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. Yeah. At somebody's desk, computer screen, everything. Yeah. I was working that job, but I was working that job in Wawa, but then Wawa was too much and they was overworking me too. And I said, I'm not gonna do this. So I actually walked out. What I did was I made sure the deli was clear, meaning all the orders were cleared. And then when some extra ones went to popping up, I said, not doing it. I went to walking out. Because they went to putting them orders in as I'm already clearing the damn board. So I'm not somebody else's problem. But anywho, back to the interaction. I remember I had waited until the coworker had left, and now it's just me and him talking. And I brought to his attention, I'm like, did you see my message? Now that I'm thinking about it, he acted like clueless, but he seen my message, and I know that he did because I found out he had my messages on silent. That was one. Then I also found out that he didn't want me to see certain things off of Instagram, but that's neither here nor there. So now I remember, mind you, when I said that I had these feelings, it was a heap of shit that was mentioned in there. So if I'm telling that to a straight man, what you think he gonna do? He gonna correct me, right? He gonna make sure it's known, right? He ain't do that. He ain't do that, not one bit. Mm-mm. He ain't do that, not one bit. he Now that I'm looking at it, and I'm saying that because I'm seeing the interaction replay in my head right now. He liked every bit of that, every bit of knowing that I now know what he knew, because at first what I knew of it to be was I found out about his truth before he wanted the world to know, before he probably even wanted me to know. I found out, and you know what's crazy? I was even having a thought about this a few days ago. It was actually a download. I'm realizing I don't think I was in love with him as much as I thought I was, because in the midst of me feeling all those emotions and things that I was feeling, a big bulk of it was also me feeling, sensing, and channeling his energy. I remember one time I had got a reading done, and actually it wasn't even a reading. It was me asking out. It was respectfully T. I had asked her a question on one of her tip jars, and it was tied to me feeling some energy. And I'm like, why I keep feeling this man? And I kept feeling him in so many different ways. And at the time, it was very confusing to me because I was just now starting to get a better understanding of this spiritual shit, starting to get a better understanding of my level of awareness here. Okay, so when it happened, she said, "Oh yeah, y'all souls are very much tied." I said, "Oh shit, oh shit," because you would think that we would have had to do some things sexually for the shit to be tied. We didn't do anything sexual. Not one bit. Not one bit. The only the only form of physical intimacy, physical touch that we had was when I holded his hand one night. And I think it's crazy how that whole interaction even happened. Cause I even remember seeing that like 3 months or so before I even experienced it. So when it happened, it was like, oh, that's interesting. I remember seeing myself talking to him in a monk room. But when it happened, it kind of like, oh wow, look at that, look at me, look at us. but but and what's crazy was we even had that mop room interaction. That taught me some more things about him too. But anywho, with this first interaction when I went to Wawa for the whole ATM thing, right? I remember this is also the interaction where this is when COVID hit and everything, right? Because I remember I kept telling him like, put your mask down. I want to see you. I want to see your whole face. I want to see it all. I want to see it all. Put your mask down. Put it down. Let me see it. Let me see you. And I was bugging him to. I wanted him to put it down. He won't put it down. I now realized a few days ago, mind you, this interaction, this was a while ago, but me now coming to the understanding that the reason why he put it down so quickly, he wanted me to be there. He wanted me to spend time with him, and that was his way of doing it. Because if he would have put it down so quick, then I would have left. I would have stopped bugging him. I would have left. I would have left. So when that clicked the other day, I was like, oh, so you really was always showing me the signs, and all this whole time I wanted you to say it out your words, but you really couldn't tell me out your words because you were scary and all this other shit. But anywho, another thing I remember with that interaction too was I know that you've seen the message where I just told you that I had feelings for you. So you've seen that message. So now we're having an interaction, and in the midst of us having the interaction, you still not pushing me to the side. You still not giving me that iron fist. Like, hey, I'm a straight nigga. Hey, I'm straight. I don't do that. I don't do this. No, no, he didn't give me that. Another thing too that I need to mention is it was. I remember this is one of the interactions. I think it was. I think it was. If not, it was another interaction where I seen him at Wawa. Well, I told him that all you have to do is say the words, and I walk out this door, and you'll never have to worry about me again. Ooh, I just realized one of those interactions where I said that was when I was in the mop room. I ain't even need to go to Wawa that night where we had the mop room scene. But again, look at me going out of my way. There's something out. Here's what it was. I was feeling him. And when I mean when when I say I was feeling him, I was feeling him. Excuse me. I was feeling him. I need to hold on. Mm-mm. Can't let that stay in. Can't let that mucus stay in. Let it out. Because that's energy being released too. Let it out. But I noticed I was feeling him. And the way that I was feeling him, it was in a point to where you're interfering with my sleep. Not only am I getting downloads about you, but when it's time for me to go to sleep and me getting up in the middle of the night, it's because of you. I remember one time I even sent him a message at 3:33 because he was on my mind at 3:33. Why I'm just waking up and you the first motherfucker on my mind? What? Fuck. So the way that I was feeling him, it was pretty fucking intense back then. And because of that, it a lot of it caused me to go out of my way to want to go see him, because I'm not realizing it wasn't just me wanting to see him, it was also him wanting to see me too. Now, I also realized there's a lot of things that I did in the midst of this that really pushed him away more than it made him come closer. And one of the things I've noticed was the way that I was so pushy on getting him to have the conversation. I would have, I should have been more understanding. And I know that now. I've even expressed that to him. I did. I've even apologized to him for that. Hmm. But there's so much about the connection between us that was left. There's a lot of questions left unanswered. There's a lot of things left. Just, it felt like it was left unfinished because honestly, we didn't fully experience the aspect of this union the way that we wanted to because of society, because of all this other shit that was interfering with what we were trying to do. But I also know that he's also one of the individuals that still pops up in some of my love readings sometimes, although I can feel my new man, and I've gotten downloads about his ass too. This one of the past. His energy, it'll still pop up every now and then. And it would really bug the fuck out of me because I would do cord cuttings. Not even just myself, but I would even go to other people to get the fucking cords cut too. But then I started doing it a little deeper with myself, did cord cutting baths and everything. And it would work. It would work in a degree to where I'm not as connected to him. I'm able to detach from him how I need to be. But somewhere along the lines, it finds a way to reconnect. And I'm like, huh, hold on. And it didn't make sense because when it would start to reconnecting, especially around this year, I'm in the knowing, consciously knowing now that we ain't gonna never be able to work. No matter how connected we are, no matter how much we be feeling each other, yeah, it won't be able to work. Because you got too much personal things, honestly, that you would have to heal, that you would have to go through. And I feel like, in the midst of me and you being together, I can help you with those things. But in the midst of me helping you with those things, it started to feel like it would cause a burden. You would not be a burden. More than, it felt like now it'd be more so of me fixing you instead of us actually being able to be in a union together. I remember I had a dream. It was in my old apartment at the time where the scene started, and we were in my bed. It was me and him. We weren't doing anything sexual. Hold your horses, y'all. It was me and him in the room. And what's funny is we were texting on our phone, but we would look up at each other and we would respond out to the message out loud, but we'd look at each other to get the response. Yeah, it was cute. Now just think about it. It was cute. This is the way that we were. Um, but in that scene, that just showed me how comfortable we were with each other, how we were able to really talk and connect with each other. That just one scene, right? But then somebody knocked at the door. And another thing to note was in this particular scene, it just so happens to be his birthday. He's a fucking water sign, Pisces, which I think is a coincidence that his sun is a Pisces and my moon and rising is Pisces, which I think that's another reason as to why we were as connected the way that we were. But let me go ahead and finish. um, in the dream, it was his birthday. So somebody came to the door, and he wanted to answer. He was so hell bent on answering it, because he was expecting it to be somebody specifically. Because I noticed when he got to the door, he was so eager to open it, but then when he realized who it was, it's like that dampened his spirits. Because after that first interaction, it's like every other person that started to come into the house, into the apartment, it was still everybody that he was not expecting it to be. And in the dream, who he wanted it to be that first time, he wanted it to be his mama. So I noticed that now we're in a common area, which is also close to where the kitchen was, because you had the kitchen, like you had the kitchen over here, you had the living room, but we also had a balcony. So we had the living room or the balcony, and then we had like another area over here that would be like next door to the balcony. That would be where we would have put the kitchen table at. And then we had, where the family room at? We had over here towards the left is where the front door is, right? But in the dream space, the way it was the door was a little different, but it was still an apartment. But anywho, I remember I was in a common area, and I thought it was funny how even in the dream, I went to reading people in the dream, which is how I end up knowing that I can read people in the dreams, which is interesting because y'all know that lady Big Mouth. She never read in a dream before. So when I told her that I can do it, she thought that I was interested. Because I am who I am. I just somebody else to play with. But anyway, I remember when I was in the common room, he was over there sitting at one of the extra tables that we had set up, and I noticed that his energy was completely off. It was like he was there, but he wasn't there, which I knew. I know now that that was a reflection of, even if y'all were going to be together, you would not have all of him. Although it may seem like you would, you still wouldn't, because there would be some part of him that would still be worrying about X, Y, and Z, essentially his family, essentially his support system. Which, now that I'm thinking about it, I thought it was so interesting because I now understand. I understand his story a lot more than he probably understand. I understand his story because I lived it. Of wanting your mom's approval and all that other. Yeah, I did that. I lived that. I went through that. I was forced to go through that. But I would have never had all of him. And looking at it now, that it would have hurted me more. It would have hurted me more compared to the ways that it hurted me in the present time, right? And it doesn't hurt me at the capacity the way that it used to. But the one thing, I'm gonna be honest, that does get to me about the situation here is, and not even was able to tell how this was connected to me not even wanting to go dabble into love again, was because I didn't think I was going to be able to feel what I felt with him with somebody else. That's how strong that feeling of it was. Because, again, mind you, all this, and we ain't do nothing sexually with each other. We ain't do no form. The only form of connecting that we really had, it was just like us really getting to know each other. And another thing that I've noticed was interesting was, a lot of times we actually would do a lot of things together, and I didn't notice that we would at Wawa. When it came down to restocking trucks, restocking the store, when it came down to, see, that was funny. Now that I'm thinking about it, a lot of times where I'm restocking, I just realized that was restocking with him. You could have got somebody else to do that. I remember one time I was working in a deli, and the manager at the time told him to go pick up all the trashes outside, because it was starting to get too filled and they needed new trash. And when he was done, he said he needed help putting all the trash in the trash discomposer, whatever the hell it was that was outside. And I thought it was funny how he said it because, one, first of all, you didn't need help getting the trash. So why you need help putting the trash in here? That's one. But I realized that this motherfucker really wanted me to be out there to help him with the trash just so he can literally spend time in my physical presence. You know what's also interesting? And I told him this too. I remember one time I walked into a metaphysical store and I needed something from the store, right? This is around the time, around this time, it was about 2021, I believe. 2021, yeah. And I'm at the cash register in the metaphysical store and I get a notification on my phone from Instagram. And as soon as I get it, I noticed that the message got deleted. So it's like as soon as it got sent, it got deleted just as fast. So before I even get to pulling my phone out, I was feeling and hearing his energy up in here, all up in my head, right? I was feeling the sensing. And it was that motherfucker that texted me. Yeah. He had texted me something and he had deleted it just as quickly as he sent it. And what's crazy is I even had to go to another damn reader to get a validation of the fact that if he texted me, which I always knew that he texted me, but again, I was still a baby into the shit. So here's also the funny thing about all this shit too. You would think that he'll block me by now. You think he'll block my phone number? You would think he'll block me on Instagram. You would think he would have blocked me by now with all these things. Mind you, even in the midst of me sending a lot of these messages, he would never send them back to me in the message. It's like I would send the message, then I go see him, and me seeing him is my response to what I just sent him. Which, now that I'm thinking about it, I remember one of the messages that I sent him was I told him I want a hug. I said I wanted to hug. I just felt some energy as I said that. Oh, fuck. I remember recently, I've noticed one of the things in the midst of him trying to pull on my energy is he's having some slight regret because he now realized he should have hugged me. I don't. I lucky I won't talk about it no more. Mm-mm. 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 Uh-huh. That's why when people be having all that Pisces slander, I ain't gonna jump on y'all bandwagon. Cause although they done put me through some things, mind you, I've dealt with this Pisces as a romantically. I've dealt with I had a Pisces best friend. Then I had another Pisces that I was slightly interested in, but yeah, he was always a wolf in cheap clothing. So y'all, I had my fair share of experiences with you fishes. You would think, nah, I don't like you bitches. I don't like it. You think I'll join the hate train, right? I can't. Because those fishes are those fishes. And you get what you get when you get those fishes. That's all there is to it. You get what you get when you get those fishes. You get what you get when you get those fishes. And I really do feel like because of my Pisces placements, that's one of the reasons why I connect so much with Pisces. I understand things. I understand them. I really do. Hold on. That's the one thing that be getting me with the nails. It's the picking up stuff. Yeah, I know I gotta use some tips. I get it. I do. But that don't mean I don't get to adjust to the, okay? But I'm back in business. Hold on. I'm back in business. I'm so dramatic. But like I was saying earlier, y'all make sure y'all follow me on TikTok because I'm going to be going live tomorrow on TikTok. My TikTok is cosmic.tj. Same spelling and everything on here. But anywho, I low key don't want to talk about that man no more. We had the conversation we needed and we done. Nah. But for real though, one thing I will definitely say is, and I had to realize this, I really genuinely am going to always have, I gotta be honest with myself, I'm going to have a soft spot for that man. I'm going to. Because when I had that interaction with him, it wasn't just us falling in love. It wasn't just that, but it was also he opened up my heart space. He made me open up my heart space. Like just simply dealing with him, he made me open up my heart space. Who's to say that wouldn't happen if I experienced that with him? Yeah, it wouldn't. I mean, it would have happened, but it would have happened in a different way. But that was one of the things that I really can thank him for. Is that like you don't realize it, but you open up out of your heart space, Brody. So I can't fully hate you because you had some benefit to my life, and there was moments that we had, but our journey was cut short, and it wasn't because of. I guess you can say it was technically because of me, but it really wasn't because the reason why we couldn't be was because of those around us, because of society, and you weren't in the space to silence those projections around you, especially also surrounding your sexuality the way that I was. And me looking at it now, I I go through things that it would take others years to go through. And when I started stepping into my spirituality, it just made it get a little worse because then the energies that I was connecting to, my ancestors, they started to speed things up. So that meant me having certain experiences, oh, we're gonna start to speed that up too. And the old practitioner that was cool with, she even brought up that in personally in one alive too, where she said that I don't know why the spirit is exalting you very quickly, but they are. Because I have work to do. Because I have work to do. And I'm not talking about the internal work, but I'm talking about the spiritual work. I'm talking about the collective work. I got work to do, honey. Oh, oh, y'all are not gonna believe what I just heard. Oh, I would try to go to a comment or something, but I'm gonna be honest. I don't see no comment. I don't see no comment section. They ain't got one. You know what I see? I see live. It tell me the time. It tell me how many people in here. It tell me how many people liked it. There's two arrows, but it's in a circle. So I'm assuming that's to turn it to where you can see a different view. Then you got the mic. Then you got, it look like a paintbrush. It's a brush, but then it got 3 stars. So I'm pretty sure that's a retouch or some shit. And then you got something that looked like it's a film thing, but it's not for, it's nothing. It's not a comment or anything. I don't know what the comment section are. So until I figure that out, I guess there's just no way I'm gonna look at the comments. Okay, I guess that's just gonna have to do. But I hope I didn't talk him up because now I'm hearing that motherfucking name. Oh, you know what? Speaking of which, let me talk about speaking of which. It's because my mind also went somewhere else too. But I wanted to see tomorrow. I'm creating another bath. I need to create another batch of glamour bath. Um, fuck, hold on, wait a minute. I don't have the candle that I need for that. And I don't, okay. I can go tomorrow. That I can do. All right, anywho. But what the reason why I'm bringing that up because I think I'm gonna also go live with the process of me creating the bath so that I can give y'all a bit of a sneak peek of how I create my potions, of how I create my baths, which really just be it. It really just be me connecting to those ancestors, those spirits, tied to those intentions. But it's me also spending time with them and allowing them to move through me so that the parlors can be created. Because when I get to moving, I get to praying. Sometimes I get to dancing, I get to snapping, I get to clapping, I get to feeling a whole heap of shit. Because in the midst of me feeling and sensing all this energy that's circulating and going around right now, it's my ancestors. They're touching me. So because they're touching me, it's causing me to pick up on all these things. It's causing me to pull on their energy. It's causing them to come on up in my body, and I'm a medium. So one thing they're gonna do, they're gonna mount me. They're gonna mount me when I get to moving in these products. Okay, baby. Um, One of the things I do want to mention about this YouTube though is some of the videos that I'm going to be posting. It's going to be some of those personal songs that I created in the midst of me going through some of the hardships that I went through, in the midst of me just going through some of the things that I went through. The song hit my spirit, and when the song hit my spirit, these were songs that helped me to elevate out of those spaces. These were songs that pushed me when I need pushing. These were songs that motivated me, that allowed me to know, to be rooted in the fact that God got me. These are like, I created some songs that I didn't even realize were songs that were needed to be shared to the collective. Till one of my folks said, you need to share these songs. I didn't even put, I didn't even know I could sing. Let me tell it to you like that, because the way that I would think about people singing, I'm like, you got to sing, you got to be able to sing the high notes, the low notes. You got to be a perfect singer to be able to sing. But I just realized, if you got a tune, you make it sound good, and you can carry it, you can sing, baby. And that's one thing I can do. And I know my tone. I know which tune works for me too. I do. I know which one works for me, and it work. Okay. So much so where people were starting to compliment me on those small clips that I would show of me singing. Somebody even said my voice was entrancing. I said, enchanting? You say what? Huh? You say what about me? You say what about me? My voice? Enchanting? I'm sorry, let me hear it again. Please. Oh my God, she ate with that one. And she did. Because it's so true. It is so true. Like, there's so much power. A lot of my power is up in here. And not even just with singing, but even when I'm giving messages, me being a messenger. I gotta use my throat to give a message, to communicate. Hello. Hello. But I be having my moments where spirit be having to show me things a certain way, or to get me to see like, hey, you are that nigga. You are that gifted. You are that anointed. And don't you forget who walked with you. Because a lot of times I used to say, oh, when I get to channeling and singing and shit like that, oh, that's my ancestors. They moving through me, which 9 times out of 10 they are, but it's not only just that. Because I have a beautiful voice. But I am going to also give my ancestors kudos, because I firmly believe it's because of them having beautiful voices that I even have one today. And I'm glad I could pinpoint those who have sung, who were able to sing. Like, just, what was, I think it was sometime this year. Was it? Yep, it was this year. When I was having a conversation with my grandfather. And I was asking him about a little bit more information about that side of the family, my mom's side of the family, from his folks, or his people, his mama, his daddy, his siblings, right? And he ended up telling me how one of his siblings were able to sing she was able to sing so perfect in such a way to where she could make glass break. Yeah. hmm But I've been on this live for so long. I've just told y'all so much about my story, so much about my life, so much about who I am, so much about how I came to be who I am today. And although all these experiences changed my internal world in such a way that I thought I would not be able to recover, let me be able to give you the testimony today that despite the hardship, despite the trials, you will recover. You will be able to receive your victory. You will be able to receive your glory because God already said it so. Your ancestors already said it to be so. So it's a matter of you continuing to fight the fight. It's a matter of you continuing to go through the motions of life so that you can better see why God is putting you in the path that He's putting you in. So I hope that each and every last one of you that have watched this, I hope that you have a great day. I hope that you have a glorious day. I hope you continue to have a glorious life. Why? Because God says so. There's no other way to live. Tell it again. There is no other way to live. I appreciate every single last one of you that have been on here today. Rather you stayed for a minute, rather you stayed for an hour, rather you stayed for the whole thing. I appreciate every last one of you. Your love does not go unnoticed. So I thank you. I thank you for being with me. I thank you. I thank you for spending time with me. I thank you. I thank you for hearing me out. I thank you. I thank you for hearing my story and being willing to hear my story, being willing to hear my truth. Thank you. So, y'all have a beautiful night. I will see y'all beautiful people tomorrow on TikTok. I do not have a time, but we gonna go live tomorrow on TikTok, and I'm pretty sure some of y'all probably follow me on Instagram and Twitter too. So I'm gonna give y'all an updated time tomorrow. I love y'all. Peace.